Welcome. Good evening, good morning, good day to one and all. This is Untold Legends, Season 2, Episode 12, Volume 1 of our season finale featuring Sons of Kojima. We may not have any of the members of the Sons of Kojima here, but we are here to, what do you call this? We are here to discuss Sons of Kojima as one of the most requested topics on the podcast of our co host today. And I introduce to you my co host, Jodini.
Hi, everybody. Great to be back again.
Yes, nice to see you here again, Joe. Yeah, we really appreciate having you here because we really appreciate your commentary. And just to give you a little background about this this screen that we just shared with you. This is a page or a channel called No Safe Space for You. One of the, I consider one of those archivists of the history of Sons of Kojima that some say some of these clips or some of these uh, leaked audio to spoil it a little for you. Some of them have been taken down in other channels, but of course, some of these other people that have left Sons of Kojima, they're like Hydra. You delete one channel, two will sprout out. So perhaps the other people left at Sons of Kojima have just quit deleting any of these clips or taking them down because if they keep surfacing online and if the internet never forgets, then yeah, you might as well just leave it there for everyone to discover and judge them based on what you hear. So, as much as there will be commentary coming from me and coming from our co host here, we would also let you comment on what's going on here to ensure that at least we try to be fair, because as much as just to give you a little background, one of the reasons why I agreed to be a podcast researcher for Legends of the Internet is we try to be fair, we try to be less judgmental, and we try to question things that we are allowed to question because apparently one of the things that Sons of Kojima as a group, or at least the core group, does not like being questioned. So let's get started with the main clip that could have been included in the Encyclopedia Dramatica episode on Legends of the Internet, but we will be including it here. And now that we have the technology to support us, we would be playing the audio. Okay, here we go. Let's wait for this because I cannot blame the ED page for having a grudge against Sons of Kojima since.
I um I
Here we
can't.
go.
My intentions weren't the first time; they weren't sincere. But like
No,
when
three times they weren't sincere.
wait, when was the third time?
Today.
This fucking guy.
I don't know.
What is
But
your
like
problem, Boone? I mean, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Okay,
in the
You don't
public
answer a
discussion,
great question. He's asking you why you're doing this. For the lulz. I don't recall.
Dude, be a man, grow a fucking pair of balls, and just say why you did it.
because for the lulz, like I said,
Dude, what are you
like
fucking...
there,
you are 12.
there is no other reason.
You are a fucking 12-year-old. I did it for the lulz. What the fuck is wrong with you, dude?
Dude, there's people older than that that do it for the lulz. It's not like...
Yeah, and they're immature as all
not like
fucking holy hell that act like they're 12. Are you kidding me?
It's not like it's immature wholesale.
Yes, it is. It's an Encyclopedia Dramatica calling people niggers and faggots. Yeah, it's immature.
And on top of that, somebody says, I'm going to stop talking about them, and then does it. It's immature.
I removed Moogle's part because that was immature. I agree with you.
One person. Oh, you removed one person. All's forgiven.
We couldn't blank out the whole fucking page, and I didn't know how to edit it.
Yeah,
So,
you could have. You could have said, you know what? I'm not getting involved in this. Why are you guys doing it?
Well,
Why did you have to be the one to post it?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I gotta interrupt for a second, but how is Moogle's part immature, but Renegade's part wasn't?
Well,
I didn't even. Yeah, the rough draft. I didn't even.
Okay, just to pause right there, a little background. Renegade Operative and Mughal Fantasy are two of the right-hand men of Fred Fawkes. Fred Fawkes is the, I know I'm mispronouncing it on purpose, but Fred Fawkes is said to be the founder of Sons of Kojima, and a lot more detail would be given later on since I managed to get some preserved pages of the ED page of Sons of Kojima for us to read later on. All right, and Joe, if ever you have some questions, I'd be ready to pause some occasionally for you. Okay.
Got it.
Okay, let's continue.
No new members are. Well, I knew today, but I don't know. I don't know
Just to
who
clarify,
did it.
Just to clarify something, if you're going to say that taking Moogle's part out because it was immature, not that I'm highly offended by this, I'm really truly not, but I'm just going to point it out to you. Whoever wrote it, whether it's you or your friends, you called my wife a bitch in it. You're telling me that that is not immature?
I'm saying it's all immature, but we just,
But you just said you took Moogle's part out because that was immature, and that insinuates that the rest of the article isn't.
Well, I'm not. That's not what I was insinuating.
Yeah, that's what you said, dude. You said I took Moogle's part out because it was immature, and you ended your sentence. So that means you kind of think the rest of the article isn't.
Oh no, I don't think it was any of it was justified.
Okay, so why did you post it then if you don't think any of it was justified?
For just for the lulz.
Okay.
That's a bullshit
Dude,
excuse.
That is the biggest bull. Yeah, Fred. Seriously, that is such a bullshit excuse.
Like, I don't have any issues with you guys. Just saying.
No.
What? Dude, what
I
planet are you
don't.
on? You said twice before you were going to drop shit, and then you post this article. That is you giving a shit and getting your hand right in the fucking cookie jar.
Yeah.
Just because I post something that, isn't even true in the fucking first place, it doesn't mean,
It doesn't matter if it's true or not. I don't give a shit. It's the fact that you did it. It's your action, not your reasoning. You get what I'm trying to say? It's called logic.
Yeah, I get you.
So how about this? I'll go fuck your mother for the laws and everything will be cool, right? No hard feelings?
I guess
Yeah,
if you want to
there you go.
twist,
For the laws.
if you just want to twist my logic into black and white, there, sure.
No, I mean that's what you're saying. You're saying you could do something if it's just for the laws. Nobody's supposed to get mad or offended.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you shouldn't take fucking Encyclopedia page Dramatica seriously.
And we're saying that you shouldn't even post it. It wasn't even your work. You didn't even write it. You just posted someone else's work for the lulz.
That's what I'm saying too. I have no qualms with what was written on it. It's the fact that you willingly posted it. That is my issue. That is Fred's issue, as far as I can tell. Am I right, Fred?
Yeah, it's the fact that you did this out of nowhere, unprovoked. Everything was done with. The drama was done. We had a call publicly. You said on the record numerous times. You flipped on all your friends. You called them out for their bullshit. Everybody was... You know what? I'll tell you the complete honest truth. Everyone was just going to let you walk away from this. In a lot of people's minds, you redeemed yourself. You could have walked away from everything clean. No one would have gave you shit. You would have just been able to go on and on your merry way. And then you fucking do this stupid shit out of nowhere, unprovoked. If we would have did something to you and you would have done this in response or something like that, people would have understood. But because you're doing this, going on the record, playing stupid, you went on a call with me last night, said you didn't fucking do it. You had no idea what happened. You blamed you blamed Burnout, you blamed Dude Demand, you blamed Divas, you dragged everyone you threw everyone under the bus to save yourself. You're disgusting. You're a disgusting person. And I can't believe that you're going to sit here and just say, well, yeah, I just posted it for the laws. Just for no reason. You guys didn't do anything to me. It's just for the laws.
Good answer.
yeah, the reason why Dude Demand is involved is because you just specifically threw him under the bus, and you also threw Divas under the bus too. And I'm pretty sure he's going to be so thrilled to find out that you threw his name back into this shit after he's done everything he could to go underground. I'm sure he's going to be thrilled.
Wait, did you actually talk to him? Because like on public? Because if you didn't go public with it, his name won't have to be, ruined.
No. I'm going to talk to him privately, and I'm going to tell him and show him the recording of you throwing him and his friend Dude Demand under the bus to save yourself when you knew full well that you're the one that posted it, and you were given some fucking song and dance about who else has access to the account when you're the one that posted it, and you knew that you posted it. You have zero support from anybody. Pro DSP, anti-DSP, you have zero support from anybody.
I never said I had support.
No, I'm just telling you for your sake. I'm letting you know where you're at right now. You have zero support with anybody.
Alright.
I mean, am I wrong? I mean, what are you? You're friends with Jonathan Ross or whatever. You went to go spectate. To go spectate and be inside of a live call that was being live streamed. You're gonna tell us that wasn't weird?
Saying that.
Jonathan Ross.
Because Miles told me he planned to get me back involved in the drama. So
Miles, show me that.
Oh, what? I didn't record that.
Well, we can talk to Miles right now. You want us to ask Miles? Because he'll be honest.
Go ahead.
Because you're throwing him under the bus too now.
I'm not throwing him under the bus.
That's
like
what you
I
just
said.
You said Miles said that you throwing him under the bus.
Yeah.
He told me Ross was planning to leak videos of my name attempting to pull me back into the drama, or that's what I heard anyway. So I mean, like that's what verbatim what he said. So if you want to go confirm that, go do that.
I will.
I'm going to be honest. None of us take Jonathan Ross all that seriously. We just want to.
I don't even take that dude seriously.
It's just more drama that you just so happen to be involved in.
I actually have a question regarding the ED page itself. I actually really want to know why exactly was I removed from like all mentions of the article. Like, I wasn't bothered by it. I actually found it hilarious. But I'm just wondering why all mentions of me was completely removed. So, like, there's not even a single like name drop. There's not even like simple mention of me at all.
Because in the public discussion, we just your page specifically was mentioned. Fred, I guess out of respect, just didn't decide to leak the rest of the page. So
out of what?
Like Burn said, you had the full page, right?
Yeah.
So you decided to like read only Moogle's part.
Yeah, I have it screen capped, of course. But I'm saying, why was it completely removed? Because it was the exact same thing. Like, no, it wasn't edited at all. It was the exact same, really written, just terrible grammatical, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I just removed it for those reasons, pretty much, because it just,
Yeah, it was just the exact same thing. I'm just wondering, and there was also another thing added later on saying that I sound like I sound like.
I know what yeah, I saw that.
I have no clue where that came from, but
me neither.
Honestly, that was all completely removed. Like right after, not even like 5 minutes, not even like 10 minutes after the article was put up. I refresh it and then my name was gone.
Me and Burn were trying to get rid of a lot of it, but
That's a question that I have. So I'm looking at your guys' history there. You guys obviously were under there with what was it? Something Blaze or some shit like that.
That's me.
Yeah.
Like I was just doing that because I don't know, because if I was the one who actually posted the article under IP freely, so
right. So
like
I looked at what you guys did, or you specifically, I guess, and it's very interesting that you didn't really like remove anything except for Scott's part, because obviously you don't want to have to deal with him again. But I don't know. Whatever.
Well, no, I removed him because he was an SFK.
No, but you put him. I mean, what are you just posted it without looking at it?
I guess.
All right. Well, that's nice.
I gotta
but you.
One other thing. If you removed Scott because he wasn't SOK, why did you keep Shadow Stepper?
Like he's in the subgroup, but I didn't even know his name was in there.
He's not in the subgroup.
He's not in the subgroup.
Oh, I heard he was in the subgroup. Didn't he get kicked out or something?
And if you're in the subgroup, I'm pretty sure that doesn't mean you're a part of the SOK.
Right.
Oh, I know that much.
You definitely weren't. I mean, you were in the subgroup too. So, but anyways, the important thing that I was just trying to get to quickly is I noticed what you guys were doing as far as editing, and the only thing that you guys really did is you guys cleaned it up so that way it could continue to stay on the page. I mean, you guys really didn't do anything to remove anything or edit anything. You guys just moved stuff around and made it look better so that the mods would keep it up. And I don't understand the thought process behind that. If your goal was to get rid of it, why would you edit it so that it conforms better to their standards of an article?
Well, Burn, I think he had to go to work, and I just really didn't know how to edit it to make it not malicious in nature, I guess.
But you edited it, you added a table of contents, you basically turned it into a legitimate article.
Yeah.
Yeah? That's it? That's it?
I guess. I don't know.
Oh,
You
okay.
guess you don't know? Answer a fucking question with a goddamn
I
answer,
removed,
dude.
if you notice, I removed like half of the shit in there.
You removed Scott and you removed Moogle. That's it.
No, it's a lot shorter than the original draft.
I'm not asking about I'm asking about why you spent so much time to reformat it and make it more up to par with the rest of the ED articles, so that it will ensure that it stays up.
Well, I don't know who. Yeah, Burn said it was an admin who formatted it.
No,
so.
I looked at the edit history. It was you. It was that account.
Blazing Tempest?
Yes.
No, there was someone who formatted before that. Like all I did was like bold and I don't know. Like I put, what do you call that little block thing or whatever? That's pretty much it. Like I didn't do much.
Do you want me to show you the edit history?
Go ahead.
All right.
I did edit a lot of stuff out, but I didn't format it because formatting is a different thing from editing.
You
like
did
editing.
Format it. Trust me. I looked at it. I looked at the entire history because I noticed
formatted
that there was a lot of.
I formatted bits and pieces.
Bits and pieces. So a lot of bits and pieces, and a lot of those bits and pieces accumulated to the entire article.
I guess.
Yeah. So let me just get this here. Blazing Tempest. And here is a list of your edits to pages. There you go. Now, if you click on the difference button for each of them, or just click on one of the difference ones, right? And you can see up at the top, there are two separate little bars, or two little sections. And there's buttons that say older edit, newer edit. You can look there. And I don't know if you know this, but it lists every single thing you do on the page. Always.
Okay.
So you can see here through the different edit histories, the progress that you made to make it more aesthetically pleasing, easier to read, added bullet points, added all this different stuff. My question to you is, you sent me a message earlier today and you said that you and Burn were trying to edit as much as you can and get rid of a bunch of stuff, but in reality what you did under Blazing Tempest is you just basically cleaned it up so that it would stay up. Like you made it better, but you didn't fix anything.
Oh, define fix.
Okay,
Like,
fix is in if your intent was to get rid of all that stuff and end the drama, quote unquote, what you told me, you wouldn't have made it more aesthetically pleasing and easier to read, so that way it would guarantee for it to stay up.
there's no guarantee it will stay up because you guys can record it. You guys can do a lot of things that would result in the removal of the page. And I don't even know if that's on par with these standards. So.
Well, people tried to report it. They tried to report it for lack of evidence, which it clearly doesn't have. People tried to report it for causing unnecessary drama, and they didn't do anything. And you've seen that they didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I mean, you said, quote to me, they're not doing anything.
Well, it might be just because it's an admin's decision ultimately. So,
well, it's your decision to put it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not arguing.
And it was
that.
your decision to edit it. This is what we're talking about. This was still your decision to edit it the way that you did, so that way it could stay up.
I didn't edit it with the intention to stay up. All I did was edit it.
What were you going for? Just curious.
I had no motive. All I did was edit the page.
Anybody else? I can't.
why would you do it if you had no motive? You could have been doing better things.
I'm still stuck on the whole why did you do it because you said you were going to stop this shit, and you still haven't given a direct answer to that. All you're answering is the lulls, which is the biggest horseshit bullshit fucking answer ever.
Well, I don't have any issue, like I said.
Dude, but you said you were going to stop this drama, and you posting this is continuing it. That's what you're not getting.
No, I get that, but, you know, you guys are continuing the drama by pointing it out, and, you know, like, on Twitter, it's just like, oh, he said this, he said that,
Yeah,
you know,
responding,
like, if
once again, responding to what you're...
Well, if you ignore it entirely, then...
If you don't do it, we don't have to ignore it.
Yeah. Like, what logic are you using, bro? Like, honestly.
But, like, no one would look it up if you guys hadn't pointed it out.
But,
so
okay, it doesn't change that. Okay,
like,
dude, you're skipping ahead. We're going back to you are the one that posted it. Yes, we're pointing it out to people. We're making fun of it because it was funny. But once again, you're the asshole. You're the asshole who posted it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't give you much of an answer other than...
Because you are full of shit and you're not dropping this.
Yes.
I am dropping it.
No, you're not, asshole. If you were dropping it, you wouldn't have fucking posted this. It's called simple fucking logic.
Also, I'd just like to point out that we didn't bring attention to this. Actually, Jonathan Ross, the guy that you were spectating for, and I assume that you were in communication with at some point during the debate with Shave, he's the one that called attention to it.
With him.
He's the one that actually called attention to it while referencing the ED page. So that we actually didn't point it out to people first.
Oh, I see.
But anyways, back to Carl's question about why did you do it. You're saying you don't have any answer for that?
Nah, I just did it on a whim.
Are you trying to get Dude Man or anyone else in here so that they can...
I don't know, or I assume Dude Man is busy, or...
Miles is online. I don't know if he wants in or not.
And you guys can get him in to confirm what I said earlier about him.
I got him.
Saying that Ross is going to leak videos about me, so I guess, yeah, that'd be a reason to include him.
So what's your plans moving forward, Boone? What do you think?
I don't know. I'm not gonna do anything further, so.
Right. But you've said that how many times now, Carl?
I said what?
I said how many times has he said he's not going to do anything anymore?
4.
This would be the 3rd or 4th time. I might be wrong.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you right now, dude, Boone, the last time you said to Fred that you're stopping this shit, I actually said to Fred flat out, you're not going to stop. That you're going to continue this bullshit. And Fred's like, oh, well, we'll see. Guess what you did today? You proved me right, that you're not going to drop this shit. And I'm saying it to your face this time, that I will bet anything under the goddamn sun that you are going to find something else to do down the line, whether it be a week, 2 weeks, a month. You're going to find something else to stick your head out, bring up shit, and then continue it, and then deny it right afterwards.
Technically, it was the 5th that it decided to continue it, because that was when the thing was supposed to do.
What the fuck does that have to do with what I just said? That the 5th is when you did it?
Because you said that was when I was continuing it. No, like,
Did you not hear a word I said? That has nothing to do with what I just said.
If we're going by your logic, you know.
Once again, what you just said has nothing to do with what I just brought up at all.
Like the decision to post it, you know.
No, dude, that's not at all what I said. Are you just like in La La Land that you just don't care?
You probably just don't get my logic. So.
No, you're talking about the date. I didn't talk about the date.
But, never mind then.
Okay, buddy. Yeah.
Okay then.
Well, let me just send a couple messages out to see if people want to come in. Anyone's free to say whatever they want.
Yeah, I don't really care either way.
You don't care? All right.
Well, I think that's kind of obvious by now. He doesn't care.
That's for the low shit.
Yeah, the lulls.
Yeah.
I had the same attitude when I was 10.
Mm-hmm. How old are you, by the way, Boondocks?
I said it in the DSP stream chat before. I was 19, so.
19 years old. Man. Well, like I said, we're just going to see if different people want to come in. They might have something to say or something like that. But yeah. How's everything going with Burn? You guys okay now? He kind of cussed you out pretty good.
Yeah, that was yesterday because, like, yeah, he pointed out because he tends to get emotional and then he calmed down. I don't know.
Alright. That was pretty good, though.
Yeah, you can tell him, by the way. I don't care.
Tell him what?
That it was me, and then I pinned it on him, like you're gonna do with dude.
I think you should have the honor to tell him. I'd love to be present for that. Yeah, matter of fact, why don't we get him in here?
Yeah, I can set it up, or you can set it up because we're all here anyway.
Make it a big party. Who else do we want to get in here? Checking the main group, see if anybody else wants to come in. Can't join. Why can't people join?
I don't know.
I feel like Tech should come in here, but if he doesn't want to talk, he doesn't have to.
Nomad couldn't come in earlier. I think it's like a problem with the call or something.
But anyways, I just wanted to give you a heads up. So we're about 20 minutes away from our announcement. I thought maybe I'd give you the honors of just giving you like a heads up on what the announcement is. Obviously, we're going to go forward.
Yeah, I know.
And,
I know that.
Unfortunately, your friends are not going to be too happy with you because they're going to be included, and the reason why they're going to be included is because of what you did. So, you know, I would prepare to apologize to your friends for, you know, the mess that you got them into, because the problem is that everyone sort of put their hands on this thing along the way, and you're the one that finally delivered the finished product. So, you know, we still don't know who Easy Restless or Easy Fearless or whatever the hell that person is.
I think it was Easy Fearless.
We're trying to figure out who that person is because they added a few more things that could possibly be you. It's a shame, man. It's really a shame. This was all done with. We were happy to have it done with. We were all very happy that we were happy with, you know, the way things turned out. Everything was very civil and public. I wish this was public, to be honest with you, but oh well.
Oh, we should totally make this public.
Yeah, I didn't really care if it was public in the first place. Y'all could have gone to Hitbox.
Fred, in all honesty, my honest opinion, we should make this call public. Parts of the call, at least.
It would benefit.
No. The reason I say we should is because this motherfucker has said 3 times before that he's done, and obviously he wasn't. And now he's denying that he did this and this reason for that reason for the lulls. If we make this shit public, maybe he'll actually get a fucking clue in his goddamn head. That's what I, honest to God, think. And I'm not just saying it as a threat. I really, truly fucking believe that.
It would benefit y'all to have it public anyway, so.
Hold on 1 second.
No, you and all your little buddies might actually get a clue in their fucking head, and they'll actually realize what kind of a fucking prick you are, and they're really gonna have some words for you.
Well, I don't know if you got a clue in your head, but it was just me, not my friends.
All right, we are live on Hitbox, Sons of Kojima channel.
Alrighty.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to SOK Talks to Boondocks here. The reason why we're here tonight is we just
Shouldn't y'all tweet it out, by the way?
Of course. But
okay.
The reason why we're here, we just had a bit of a conversation with Mr. Boondocks here about his conduct, and we were just sort of having a bit of a conversation on what we can do moving forward here. This is obviously the what was that, 5th time, Boondocks?
Huh?
The 5th time that you said you were going to move on?
It was like 3rd or 4th, according to Carl.
No,
Okay.
it was 3rd or 4th. But you took that as like the 5th of the month or something.
And we're all
Okay, that ends the clip about about Fred and Carl getting
God, that
triggered by.
was so painful. I can honestly say that was like watching a police interrogation happening. Why did you do it? I did it for the lulz. That's not a good enough answer. Why did you do it? I did it for the lulz. Not a good enough answer.
Oh man, like it's like you're just waiting for everyone to start pointing at another person. Like, yeah, you're throwing people under the bus. Yeah. Like, Boondocks the one who, well, at least that's the username given of the one of the contributors on the ED page article. So no idea about his real name. Uh, most people on ED page knew better how to keep their identities under wraps anyway. And yeah, that's the kind of behavior that the Sons of Kojima are known for. They get triggered with these things like why did you do this? Yeah, I did for the loss. Nah. Like it's as if no answer is good enough for them. If they're triggered, then they're triggered. Like it's an ego trip basically. It reminds me of the previous episodes we've had where we talked about control freaks, and yeah, Fred Fuchs is one of those control freaks that really really had it bad. Like, yeah, good thing I had the slide shares prepared here because ED page turned out to be a good starting point for this research. And yeah, let's start with this because I'm not sure if you noticed, but ED page got nuked again. Not sure if they nuked it themselves or they
What
got
do you mean?
reported.
What do you mean nuked?
Every time I go to the ED page, it says that they're trying to preserve their pages or preserve their articles. I can't see anything that if I was not able to preserve any pages from the previous incarnation, I would not have found some of these articles here because here's the thing, I save an offline version or at least a PDF version of one ED page, for example, for research purposes or for archiving, for brainstorming for later episodes. And then I have to do it because if there's one website out there that keeps on updating its contents or deleting stuff, it would be Encyclopedia Dramatica, and that includes materials that discuss Sons of Kojima. So now that I have some preserved pages of Sons of Kojima, all that's left for me to do is if some of the links found on that preserved page are still working. So that became the meat of the research from the Encyclopedia Dramatica side because there are two references I used here. One is Encyclopedia Dramatica, the other one is Kiwi Farms. And there may be some biases here on Encyclopedia Dramatica, surprise, surprise, but we just need to find out if some of these links are still alive. And thankfully they are. So you have one reference dead, but you have some links preserved, and that's how you at least succeed on some point on your research, but just a tip that I can share to everyone when it comes to the research methods that I use here, that I apply here on Told Legends, because I don't want some person out there telling me I'm not doing enough research, that I don't know how to cover my ass. Well, I know how to cover my ass, literally and figuratively, and I make it a point to at least present a fair side. So, also, in case you're not familiar with my work, I'm more of a questioning type of research and less of a judgmental type of person, just to be sure, all right? Okay, so this is the main page, or at least one of the preserved pages of the ED page. And of course, it managed to enumerate the actual people that populated this. So, because the letters show here are a little too small, good thing I have transcribed some of them. I have to rewrite a lot of the notes here because either the font is too small or the preserved copies are not clear enough. Various things. So, here we will start with the known members according to Encyclopedia Dramatica. And not surprisingly, Fred Fuchs is better known by his other name, Hollywood Kojima. So, okay, who is Hollywood Kojima? Hollywood Kojima, according to Encyclopedia Dramatica, he created this group called Sons of Kojima. And to quote Encyclopedia Dramatica, an egotistical douchebag who constantly attaches his name to anything he can grow his e-pin beyond 1 inch. The original source of the charity water BS with his name plastered all over it to make himself look better than other people. He ended up walking out on the group and left Renegade Operative in charge, where he ran the group straight underground. Has an F word relationship with Dude the Man 321 where they cyber all null. He uploads videos no one cares about and has been basically been forgotten. End quote. Well, he still has a Twitter page up. There's still mention of Sons of Kojima there. So that might be the only piece of evidence that might prove that Sons of Kojima is not dead, maybe just a shadow of its old self. Okay, so next member that was highlighted here on on the ED page is Renegade Operative. According to Encyclopedia Dramatica, Renegade Operative is a high-pitched house N-word who used to run the Sons of Bitches. Most likely 12 years old, as you can tell when he plays any video game. Thinks he's hot shit because he ran SOK for a couple of months and now he just uploads shit playthroughs on his channel. Got kicked from the SOK for wounding Fred's ego, only to come back and lick Fred's balls in apology a couple of weeks later. Ended up leaving and forming his own group regardless. Is the laughingstock of the entire anti-DSP community with his attempts at sounding smart. Without SOK, he'd be forgotten. End quote. Don't worry, we have some clips of Renegade Operative sharing some thoughts about his days at Sons of Kojima later in this episode. Okay, third member. Retrospective PC, also known by his nickname Che. According to Encyclopedia Dramatica, Che is the vice president and pandering a-hole that spams everyone who won't learn to shut the F up and tries to make himself look like the victim. He's Fred Fuchs' personal F-boy, and every person that's asked about him behind the scenes says he's annoying and not so bright. Is basically a carbon copy of Fred Fuchs. Unlike him, however, he realized how cringeworthy their circle jerk is and decided to run off with, at the time, only chick in their group. End quote. And if ever Che has his own YouTube channel, it's only because he needed to have his own copy to share his own account of his experience at Sons of Kojima. Okay, next member highlighted here. This one might be, I found the info here only on the ED page. Next one is Evil AJ 2020. According to Encyclopedia Dramatica, he is a fat 30-plus-year-old no-lifer who is the reason neckbeards and little kids think it's cool to hate on DSP. He makes 10-hour videos of MGS playthroughs, but they just want to see him shit on DSP. Likes to think of himself as some kind of a messiah for inventing a format that any retard could have come up with. Like to apologize for that word. I'm just quoting the article here. Going back to the article, according to ED Page, and I quote, got called a stalker by Phil, and that made him feel special and get a half chub, knowing that. Also was pictured posing in what looked to be a paisley looking jacket, looking really mean, next to a pair of nunchucks like a 12-year-old, fresh from seeing Bruce Lee's Game of Death. End quote. Mm, yeah, the bias is overflowing in this article, but we will find out a lot later. But the other information unearthed here. Next member, part said to be part of the core group according to ED Page, is Loophole 572. According to ED, he is a pudgy little artist who thinks he's actually funny, a pimple-faced little F-tard who used to ride DSP until he realized he could become more popular by being a hater. Only claim to fame is trolling DSP in Destiny Beta, then muting himself and running away. He attempted trolling him again on Hate Live with his nervous ass, got pawned, then hung up the call like a bitch and ran away again. Only in this, for the fame and popularity, he tries to attach himself to everything he can. He's basically the SP version of Hollywood Kojima. End quote. And the ED page attached some paste bin links. Paste bin is one of those links or storage sites that a lot of YouTubers have been using to store their references, like links and screeners and whatnot. Unfortunately, the ones that I found here on the preserved version of the ED page is not working for me, either because I don't have an account or they don't make it public or some other reason that they're trying to preserve something. Okay. And finally, the last member that is attributed to the Sons of Kojima as one of the core members is Karel Harry. According to the ED page, he's an idiot from New York who flipped out when Ghosthead made a parody account about this bitch. Makes the SOK look like a bunch of old farts and regularly shows how much of a caveman he is on videos. End quote. So, of course, like any other group, they have some white knights, which is either they simply hate DSP equally or they believe in Fred Folks is what it's fighting for. It's like, by the way, Joe, are you familiar with any of the names that I've mentioned?
No, I only knew them by the group. I didn't know them individually.
Okay, yes, because a lot of these names are just found on the ED page now. The rest, well, I found them on Kiwi Farms, and you would know later on which of them are there. Of course, they have their white knights. I'm a little nervous about the white knights, but anyway, we can't. And mention that I'm censoring myself here because you know how ED Page writes their articles. They end up with a lot of F words, and when I say F words, it's a six-letter word that ends or that starts with the letter F and ends with the word T. I will not say that word. Okay. Okay. So next set of members we would that the ED page managed to come up with are the White Knights. So, first White Knight mentioned in this article is Scott is a Scott, according to ED Page. He is a kiddie script hacker who thinks he's tough shit because he can DDoS people and dox them by Googling their information. Uses botnets to head off the SOK's critics on Twitter because he can't take them insulting his masters. His friend Strafe admitted to Boone that he made a VPN cracker so he has no life. Uses demonic photos as his profile picture on Twitter, so most likely an edgy teen with a god complex who gets bullied regularly. Won't admit his age publicly because he's most likely 10 years old, proven by the fact his vocabulary is shit. Circle jerks with funk master, sexual etchi, and others to bully people who are superior to them and mask their insecurities. Thinks $1 million companies can be DDoSed by him because he's just that good, apparently. Retweets ass 24/7 because he can't get laid and calls others virgins and beta males with his butt buddy, Strafe, otherwise known as Judgment F-Tard. And then he sent Mustafa pizza because he pointed out how retorted Scott is, then had to lay low, otherwise Scott would get his period. Insulted Byrne for his taste in hentai, yet has several anime profile pics because his time in the military was more productive than Scott's entire life. Also assisted in vandalizing this article because even though this Sock then can DDoS and use botnets. He doesn't know how wikis work. Even though he claims to be innocent, he didn't have the common sense to try and disguise his name. Recently had his Twitter deleted due to butthurt, but the picture of his final tweet archived right here on his article. End quote. Where is that article managed to? Oh, that's a different screenshot. Anyway, going back to the notes that I have here. Next White Knight featured. Okay, goes by the name Judgment Cut. According to the ED page, he is an insufferable douchebag who's a kiddie script hacker in training, taking lessons from Scott. Denies talking to him much or being his friend, but you can clearly see them sexting each other over Twitter and circle jerking with Funkmaster for being professional cyber thugs. Not very intelligent. You can see this when you start to piss him off by making the SOK feelings hurt by posting up ED articles and not being in their Twitter hug box. Apparently got Scott to teach him how to protect himself from being DDoSed, probably because the Facebook drama was their fault. Recently got his Twitter suspended for reasons unknown, maybe because they finally figured out his texting and hacking, end quote. A little note here, I could not find any information about the Facebook drama that they had. It's a lot easier to find files about Twitter since a lot of them were preserved by screenshots. Okay, next White Knight featured here, according to ED page, is Fontbringer. Okay, according to ED page, Fontbringer spends his time bullying people like Dan for being a pinnacle of humanity and overall better than a piece of useless shit like him, and for Dan having emotions like normal people. Think he's hot shit because he's friends with Strafe and Scott, who show their gruff colors to followers by retweeting ass pictures constantly and calling others F-uts because they appear to be weak. The last White Knight remaining for the SOKs, as the previous two have had their Twitters pawned. End quote. It took a lot of preserved or archived tweet pics and Twitter posts to at least ensure that some information about Sons of Kojima is preserved. Okay, next White Knight is Pixel Buster. According to the ED page, Pixel Buster is a thin-skinned teenage autist who is considered to be a complete tryhard and an annoyance of the SOK circle group and has a huge bad habit to flip-flop and act like a complete dumbass without thinking. goes by Matthew Margolis, who acts like the retarded version and carbon copy of Grant, who has a whiny bitch of a voice, never shuts the F up, makes himself the victim to stir up a pity party for others. He has similarities such as buying himself a shit ton of video games, being a complete attention whore on the internet, and pretends to be their buddy until his means of desperation, including video games for them as part of forgiveness. Thinks deleting his tweets and blocking everyone who opposes the cocksuckers will fix his problems. That's COK-SOKERS. I'll just refer it as SOKers. But bitches about drama due to insecurity. Makes fun of people who likes anime, especially hentai, and video games like he has no self-control yet owns his own games in his backlog and posts a few hentai pictures on Twitter. And the Rule 34 like a massive hypocrite and a downright douchebag of the community. He also looks like a bald rooster of a virgin compared to Chris Chan who thinks he has a life and cope. Oh, great. Mm. And that was the last White Knight that was featured. And of course, one of the main members that ended up getting his own section on the ED page was named or has the username the King of Divas Vlogs, an obvious shade against DSP. So here, according to the ED page, King Divas Vlogs is, and I quote, the most feminine and homosexual of the bunch who finally surrendered to the Baba EP novice. Okay. Originally a member of the core group, he ended up trying to bring down the group after being obsessed with their god Fred Fuchs. The King of Divas claimed to be on the fast track of shutting down after a 50-minute documentary about divas getting exposed for getting butthurt and jealous over the new members getting recognition in this gay clan. It was pretty much just them saying he sucks because he tried to take us down and do something else with our lives, and mutually masturbated each other for almost an hour to refill their barrels. Then he made a letter of surrender, deciding to shut down his Twitter and make his YouTube channel dormant and neutral instead of getting in another petty internet gay boxing match with them. After a week of hug boxing with about 4 or 5 sock accounts, he finally deleted his Twitter a week later. Divas will forever be known as a fame-seeking hater turned DSP White Knight for trying to bring down the group of the DSP-obsessed idiots. Divas spent his time commenting on DSP videos with multiple sock accounts to thumbs up his own posts and agree with himself to make himself look more important than he was. After manipulating several people with autism and people with severe mental disorders to do his dirty work, he was finally outed for being a closet homosexual with a hard on for their god Fred F. Tard. Of all the SOK, we can't think of a more pussy conniving, backstabbing piece of shit psychopath than the Queen Diva himself, end quote. And that might be the reason why, eventually, the King Divas Vlogs posted a tweet longer, apologizing for everything. Well, at least it was a passable apology since he he knew what he's apologizing for, and luckily for us, it was also preserved. And we would be reading part of that now. Let me see here, because we can always use that. Okay. Okay, this is his tweet longer, and it was a response to. There was an episode on the Sons of Kojima podcast, otherwise known as SoCast, where they basically. That was a good summary by the ED page about that 50-minute podcast episode where they basically buried or threw King of Divas Vlogs under the bus. And this is King of Divas Vlogs uh, reply on Twit Longer. And I quote, I will come clean and be completely honest with everyone. I will take responsibility where it is due. I am at fault for trying to sabotage the SOK, but they do have a few things wrong in the video. I will be able to disprove some of them, but not all of them because a majority is my fault and I accept the burden of responsibility. Once I am exposed on something, I will not run and hide or blame anyone or even try to pit people against each other. I will take what I deserve and I will admit the fault. Let me just say that I do not run the Kojima World Order account. This is false and I will completely stand by it. I will even post a screen cap of my alt accounts just because it has persona Danag Narunpa music does not necessarily mean that I run the account. If that is true, then I must own the Mr. Brockhein's channel because he is a Danganronpa song even though we all know I do not own it and he's British and I'm American. That is a common mistake that most people make. Sometimes people are inspired by my channel and its music because it's so damn catchy that they're like, F Divas, you and your damn persona music. Even Kojima World Order liked my music and decided to use it. Just like how some communities like to use VG remix songs of their favorite games, it does not mean they have the same accounts. I provided Kojima World Order with screen caps and also the music for them. I'm a third party to Kojima World Order and I do not own it. Here is my evidence. Okay, here's the evidence that was he's referring to. King of Divas vlogs and then the alternate accounts. At least he found it sensible to delete or at least black out his Apple Gmail account. To continue on the article or on the tweet longer post that Divas made, as you can see, the Kojima World Order is not my alt, and I know it may seem like I own the channel because I have helped and made some contributions to help them in the past, especially when the channel died near the end. I also do admit that I was the one that gave them the screen caps for their latest video and left the forum discussions and the thread tweets up. But everything that is owned by them, not me. I also favorited their videos and I've put them in my top featured channel because I know there are people that miss that channel. They are only making fill videos by the end of the day, and I hope people will not attack them and be respectful to their wishes to not be involved or associated with drama. They do not deserve to be attacked for something that I did, and they do not deserve any association with me. I completely apologize to Kojima World Order, Burnout, Boondocks, Crystal, and any others that were hurt due to the things I started. None of them deserve the backlash. It is my fault, and I was one of the people that fueled the fight. I accept full responsibility, and I deserve the backlash I am receiving. None of the others deserve it. I admit to being exposed on sabotaging the SOK, but I end it by saying this to the parts of the SOK that have been stirring drama and controversy. You have truly lost sight of what the anti-DarkSydePhil community was about. It was not about fame hunting. It was not about ganging up on people or starting wars against other guys that didn't think the same way you thought, then calling criticism slander and proving the ED page right. It was about making fun of a guy that plays video games horribly. It is my fault for not realizing that on my end, and I am sorry to the anti-DarkSydePhil community for putting my agenda above DarkSydePhil. I hope the SOK can at least learn from my mistake and not try to start wars against other people and cause drama because if they don't, they will only receive the same backlash as me and suffer the same fate of not focusing on Phil but focusing on drama that no one wants to hear about or be a part of. I made the mistake plenty of times and I did not learn from it. Me taking a leave from Twitter, Skype, and a few other places will stop the drama and it will end as I am at fault for it. The only thing is about Skype is I don't know how to delete it, but I did uninstall the program and I will no longer be using it anymore. It might take 6 months to delete itself, from what I know. I will be moving on from the DSP community and take my leave to somewhere else. My final words are this: I have appreciated everything this community has given to me over the years. The comments that are positive have kept me going to make videos even when I felt like complete crap and was sick some days. The support from PMs and messages, evidence given to me, and also trying to support me when I felt down and I did not know how to handle things with advice thrown in the experience of talking to some huge stars on YouTube. I also have learned to be humbled by the lows, by suffering through drama and understanding that sometimes it's just best not to try and start things between groups, especially if your channel is popular in the community. Drama is always what brings it down, but focusing on your content and why your fans watch it is what uplifts it and keeps people watching. I apologize and understand if no one believes me when I have apologized or if it will take time for everyone to forgive me. I am an awful person for what I have done, and I am no better than the people I dislike. Do not ever make the same mistake I made and learn from it. Otherwise, you aren't different than the person you despise the most. You are the same as the one you hate, and you become them without realizing it. The last question I am sure everyone wants to know is about the YouTube channel. I edited my About Me page to reflect a more neutral stance than me being a selfish a hole playing favorites, and I have decided the only thing I will do is either just favorite videos, this is how you don't place and comment on channels, or just leave it dormant. This is a decision I will have to make for myself, and I will take in feedback from everyone for a few days. Most likely, I will just keep the channel dormant because I understand that no one would want me around anymore after what I did. I am anticipating everyone calling me names right now, and I know that I deserve it. I stand by my words and I take responsibility for my actions. P.S. This Twitter account will be deleted in the next 24 hours or 2 days. End quote. That was a really long apology, and not sure if the Twitter account is already dead, because if the Twit longer account is still up, maybe the Twitter account might still be there. That or Twit longer is already a separate website than that of Twitter. Thank you very much to the two people that are watching right now. I really appreciate it. So yeah, we have those accounts here, and next thing you realize, you also analyze some of the feuds that Sons of Kojima had. Sometimes it seems like it's the group itself, or sometimes it seems like it's just Fred Fuchs having a feud with these other channels because apparently he does not like it that other people are talking about DarkSydePhil and monetizing the content as well, which sounds a little hypocritical. But then again, the main reason why this preserved version of the ED page is valuable is because it also managed to document two of the top feuds that Sons of Kojima had with other creators that are featuring the horrible playthroughs of DarkSydePhil. So we'll start here with the first one. Let me just check the next slide that's supposed to cover this. Okay, here we go. The other side, or the other slide is ready. Because this is about Ardnas. Ardnas looks like a reversed name of Sandra. So there's some people think that Ardnas might be female, but some of the pronouns here we used are male, so whether Ardness is male or female, it doesn't matter. I would just be quoting some of the pages or some of the notes that are written in the ED page regarding this view. So, Sons of Kojima versus Ardness. And I quote, Fred and his drones have been with the YouTube user known as Ardness, channel dead as of this writing. Ardness would make videos almost daily detailing whatever shenanigans Phil had been up to that day, and had managed to carve herself out a decently sized audience. Freddy Boy, being the egomaniac he is, took exception to the fact that someone other than him was getting attention, and decided to try and turn all his followers against Ardness. To do this, in the course of shit talking and bullying Ardness on Twitter, he told everyone that Ardness had been monetizing all of her videos. While it is true that ads appear on Ardness videos, this does not necessarily mean she monetized the videos, as ads can be placed on a video without the person posting it making money. End quote. Here, ED attached a Google support link explaining basically that whoever copyright claimed the video that happened to be a part of the YouTube Partner Program will end up with the profits earned from the video with content they claim as theirs. So, for example, Ardness has content that DSP claims as his, and he wanted to monetize that. Then, whatever profits that Ardness video will generate, it will not go to Ardness, it will go to DSP. That might explain the reason why Sons of Kojima are not comfortable with other channels monetizing their content or monetizing their DSP based content. Well, that might be one of the reasons. But as we go along, you will discover other things. I'd be going back to the ED page, and I quote, particularly in cases where the videos contain something which was noticed by YouTube's Content ID system, which is something that could happen to someone essentially reposting DSP's crap. Ardness tried multiple times to explain this to people, but was continually ignored by Fred and his butt buddies. Furthermore, it would take a DSP's lack of awareness to try to make money off of videos making fun of someone else for being an exceptionally greedy person. It's probably safe to assume that Ardness is not that retarded. Fred would finally get his way in February 2016. Ardness has been using intros for her videos by a user named 19-88. But as we saw with Phil himself, using other people's content in your videos can be dangerous, as Ardness found himself hit with a bunch of copyright strikes for the intros he used, effectively destroying his channel. Here's where it gets murky though. Ardness claims that Basher PM'd her, saying he'd been hacked by Fred and company. So this is the screenshot that Ardness received. The screenshot was so long I had to transcribe it later on. So here's the screenshot for the rest of the people that are listening. To quote Basher, hello Fred folks, I made intros for Ardness. I closed his channel and gave him copyright strike. I am not DSP fan and I'm not fan of any DSP haters. I'm neutral and enjoy very much to watch. This is how you don't play. I'm gonna upload a video and show you what Ardness said about SOK. I made up a story and said you guys hacked me, and he responds to me and told me that you guys are worse than DSP. I chose to take out Ardness because he make money of DSP. Sorry for my English, Freddy. You are great and please ignore I called you mother effer. Lol. I not hate you guys, so DSP, I enjoy the drama and hate between you guys. Check out my video, I bet they gonna take my end quote. I suppose she's saying that gonna take me, but this screenshot is full of typos. So we'll take it for what it is. Okay. So going back to the story, because ED page has their own theory on who 99 Basher 88 is. And I quote, whereas Fred naturally denied all responsibility, claiming that Basher alone had orchestrated the takedown and that he hadn't hacked him at all. A more likely explanation is that Basher got drawn into Fred's circle jerk and decided to sacrifice Ardennes to his new god. There's also the possibility that Basher was fabricated by Fred from the start, as he showed up out of nowhere and disappeared into the ether once his business was done. Given Fred's massive ego and his propensity for petty BS and infighting with anyone who isn't licking his balls 24/7, it's pretty safe to assume that Fred is behind all of this BS, which shows that he's an insecure little shit who only cares about being the most popular, which everyone already knew. End quote. Okay, so I'll I would just paraphrase some of the quotes about um, Sons Sons of Kojima's feud with another YouTuber known formerly known on Twitter as Sam X Bearn, and later on she used the username Waifu Cory. So compared to the section about Sons of Kojima versus Ardennes, it contained mostly dead links of Twitter posts showing the back and forth banter between Sam, Fred, and any other member of Sons of Kojima out to defend Fred Fuchs. So Fred went as far as accusing Sam of forming her own group, an anti Sons of Kojima group that they dubbed as the Sam Squad, said to be the same group that he also claimed in the tweet screenshot that got broken up. So Sam gathered so many screenies and put them all up in her own tweet longer post. So that link was thankfully preserved. So here, according to ED, Fred's fanboys practically ignored this post of Sam X Bearn defending herself because there must have been a confusion like who do they fight next or who do they fight first, Ardennes or Sam? There was even a Sammy Samosa account that was going on at that time that were saying that, yeah, some of the feuds that Sons of Kojima outside of the group were with Ardennes and with Sam X Beard or Wife of Ori or whatever username she goes by on Twitter now. So it's basically them having conflicts with other content creators, either on YouTube or Twitch or some other social media site you could think of, that are considered competitors, at least on the part of Sons of Kojima. At least that's how some of these notes have tried to point it out. So checking on the screen is here. Here we go. So I need to pause this first because I need to go back. By the way, because we found here earliest criticism from within Sons of Kojima, meaning there are some members of the group itself that are noticing that they're going a little too far. Of course, some of the earliest criticism against Sons of Kojima are attributed to Encyclopedia Dramatica, and then Ardennes, and then Wife of Cory. So while most of the data preserved on the ED's account of their encounter, of ED page encounter with SOK contains some of the most vitriolic statements thrown against the latter, some links got preserved and led to material used in this episode. So here, through ED, we got to trace one of the earliest tweet longers attributed to the criticism thrown against SOK. It was written by Twitter username I am a doper WTJ, which other references would mention simply as Doper. So, Doper wrote on September 28, 2016 on TwitLonger, and I quote, I am leaving Twitter. Wrote a bunch about why below, take care everyone. So I've decided that in a day or two I'm going to deactivate my account. This has been something I've thought for the better part of this year, but several things have put that on hold. I think that one of the biggest reasons is that while it was fun at first, I've slowly gotten more and more annoyed with the general goings on here. When I started out, it was incredibly fun, being able to talk with people I knew from the SoCast chat, and eventually branching out to meet others and having some wonderful times with. Recently, however, I feel like social media is becoming more of an annoyance to me rather than a fun pastime. I've had a lot of people either on mute or just outright unfollowed because I got tired of their shallow nonsense or because of constant drama bullcrap about movies or video games or politics or SJWs or some BS argument where nothing gets resolved and everyone complains about it until it happens again and nothing changes. Which brings me to something I haven't talked about in a while, my own personal opinion on DarkSydePhil. Unsurprisingly, I don't like Phil. He's an arrogant, narcissistic a-hole who has to make his living by cursing and whining about video games on the internet because he's wasted whatever hiring potential he had by slothfulness and ego. His constant battles with the detractors, other YouTubers, and even his own fans have been both entertaining and frustrating at the same time. If there's any good I can get out of DSP is that my own life feels so much richer and fulfilling when compared to his miserable hermit existence. But let's be real here. Phil is not that dictator. He's not Kim Jong il. He is an overweight, careerless 35-year-old who spends his days walking from one end of his house to another while complaining about how hard life is. He's not worth getting angry about. I've seen way too many people act as if they are on some kind of mission to defeat DSP. Why? What's the end goal here? Get him off of YouTube? Get his Patreon shut down? Why is this something that people would want? What exactly has Phil done to you personally that would justify that in your eyes? He blocked you? He banned you from his shitty ass forum? He called you names on the internet? Take a second and think about how little that matters in the grand scheme of things. You will not miss out on anything good by not seeing his tweets or not reading any of the garbage walls of text he posts whenever a forum user pisses him off again. If he wants to run the forums into his own little safe space bubble with extreme hostility to newcomers or folks that don't kiss his ass, well, he has the right to do that since he's footing the bill for its costs. Be glad that you're not in that group where you need to toe the line every second, or he'll throw you out whenever his bitterness levels reach critical. Rules be damned. If you're worried about Phil not getting his comeuppance, then don't worry. He has no career future, no friends, no stable income. He spends whatever free time he has going to hotels in his own area instead of actually seeing the world and gaining new experiences. His health and lifestyle is nothing short of abhorrent. He'll find out soon enough how badly he screwed his life up. There's no need to try and hasten that process, and neither should you feel happiness about it happening. This isn't good, it's sad. It's sad that a grown man is wasting his only life by acting like a petulant child, crying about how everyone else is wrong and he's right, while banning or blocking anyone who challenges him in any sort of way. If you want to laugh at how shitty his life is or what an a-hole he's been, go ahead, but don't pretend you're on some kind of internet crusade against him. Take a step back and let the man wallow in the mountain of crap he made for himself. don't let yourself be dragged down to his level of bitterness and anger by getting worked up about him, or get angry about his fan base of equally idiotic man children. And please, don't fantasize about him being homeless. I know people that have been homeless, and I won't wish that on anyone. Which brings me to the SOK anti-DSP detractors. Whatever. I don't want to be too negative about this because I have my Twitter account because of them, and also because I feel like I've done my own share of bitching about DSP and his actions, so I'm not blameless here. That being said, I would like to ask, is going on and on about Phil really getting anyone anywhere? Is bitching about him for 75% of the podcast 75% of the podcast really helping anyone? And please don't tell me it's not. I've listened and participated in enough of them. I've seen the Google Docs where most of it was just the same 5 or 6 failed joke questions repeated over and over and over. And I know that several times they focus so much time on them that anything non-Phil related gets ignored. Phil isn't changing from anything being said on them, and neither are his airheaded fans gonna stop pledging their money to him. What's there to even talk about at this point? Phil says stupid shit about something he knows jack shit about. Phil gets criticized in response by blocking then writing another wall of text. Phil writes about a video game and not letting him win easily. At what point does it become obvious that it's just the same old boring crap from him? Also, if the SOK wants to bring on guests like Mr. Medicare so they can talk shit and say insulting things about people and their spouses, things that have nothing to do with them, in order to get the lols and trigger some retards lol, then go ahead. It's their podcast. But then don't go and pretend that the SOK isn't responsible for this or that this won't reflect badly on the community. I know that the SOK aren't role models and can say or do whatever they want, but maybe they should stop acting self righteous whenever Phil or his fan base act like this as well. But then again, people mostly tune in for the Phil's drama. You can try to sugar it with other things, but it's still every bit the Phil Drama Alert show. And while this was fun for a while, eventually I got really sick and tired of hearing about people bitching about him or constantly tweeting about him or picking fights with others about him non-stop. I also have personal issues with a few of the members, how they treated people that I know and care about, and how some have treated me, which made me lose a lot of respect I once had for them as a group. I realize that these rants might make it look like I hate the people of the SOK, but I don't. Not really. I'm just incredibly tired of all the hypocritical BS and drama that's been hanging around them and their community. I want to wish them the best in their charity efforts. I feel honored to have been able to help out with what small amount of money I could give, and I hope that the new one succeeds as well. I want to thank all of the people that I've come to know and love here. You guys and gals are incredible people. You've made me laugh so many times when I needed it the most. You've given me support when I felt terrible. I wish I could make it an individual thank you to every one of you, but then I'd never be able to finish this text. Plus, I'd feel awful if I left anyone out by mistake. I do want to make one exception though. I want to thank Draguno, Hungarian World Order, Baronian, and Chip. Even though what we tried to do did not end up as we wanted, I still feel honored that I could be a part of it. We did our best to make a difference in the world. I'm proud of that no matter what. I wish you the very best in your lives. I'm proud to have called many of your friends, and some more than that. Who knows, maybe in a few months I'll reconsider coming back with a new Twitter account and try this thing over again. We'll see. Thank you all. Peace, doper. End quote. That was a lot. Okay, Joe, are you ready for the response? I almost clicked play on that next slide.
Oh, there's a response to this.
Yes, and it's audio.
Oh boy. Here we go.
Here we go.
Is the audio playing?
Yes, that's it.
Oh, I can't even hear anything.
Oops, I think something happened here.
Okay.
Let's see.
Yeah, I can't hear anything.
Let me just repeat. Good thing it's easy to repeat this. Let me just get this thing done. Okay. Okay. Time to share the screen again. Make sure that audio is up. Something must have happened on the audio there. At least we're doing this live. Here we go. Okay. There you go. There's the audio working here. I can see the icon now.
We've got a Google Doc. The reason why we have a Google Doc is because, well, we've already seen all this before, right? If we mention names, if we go directly to things, people are going to say, oh, you're targeting this person. You're trying to spotlight, trying to have people go after this person. So we decided to go about this another way. We've got a Google Doc here where we've literally just taken a person's points, a person's point of view on us, their criticism, their critique, and we've transferred it to a Google Doc. Now, what this will allow us to do is to focus on the person's points instead of on the person. And what we want to do is we want to have a discussion about these points, right? And we want to try to come to a nice outcome for this, because I think there's some people that feel like there's some merit in here. And I think, though, we owe it an opportunity to look at it, take what this person's saying, and have a meaningful discussion about it, and actually give some closure to this, right? So, Mr. Moogle, if you can on-screen this delightful Google Doc, and we will we'll proceed with this. Is it on screen?
Yeah, I got it on screen.
All righty. So we've got a.
Okay, just for some context here. Sorry if I have to pause. It's just an audio that got leaked. The Google Doc that they're referring to, I did not find that. It's not on the. I could not find it on the preserved ED page either. But this audio is where Fred Fuchs started responding to everything that Doper tried to point out in his Tweet Longer post. Okay, so back to regular programming.
Tweet Longer. Now, as you guys know, this Tweet Longer and leave situation is not this. It's not new, right? Mm-hmm. But that doesn't make it any less ridiculous. And it's funny because literally the day this happened, there was a South Park episode talking about how people leave Twitter with, these huge fucking big paragraphs and stuff like that. So obviously this type of thing is ridiculous. Okay. But the problem here is how people handle these type of things and how people can learn from these type of situations. So immediately right off the bat, we have a title. I'm leaving Twitter, wrote a bunch about why below. Take care. And there's a nice TLDR for us. I'm deactivating my Twitter. If you want to know why, there's a whole lot of text below. If you give no shits about that, then that's okay too. All right. Fair enough. So I've decided that in a day or two, I'm going to deactivate my account. This has been something I've thought over for the better part of this year, but several things have put that on hold. I think that one of the biggest reasons is that while it was fun at first, I've slowly gotten more and more annoyed with the general goings-on here. When I started out, it was incredibly fun, being able to talk with people I knew from the SoCast, chat, and eventually branching out to meet others and having some wonderful times with. Recently, however, I feel like social media is becoming more of an annoyance to me rather than a fun pastime. I've had a lot of people either on mute or just outright unfollowed because I got tired of their shallow nonsense or because of constant drama bullcrap about movies or video games or politics or SJWs, or it's some bullshit argument where nothing gets resolved and everyone complains until it happens again and nothing changes. Okay. That seems pretty straightforward, right? But I mean, that's about it. That should be it. I'm tired of Twitter. Twitter is negatively affecting me. So I'm leaving Twitter. I'll see you later. Seems pretty straightforward. To make a twit longer and to tell people that I'm leaving and here's who I'm blaming is kind of what this guy is talking about, though. It's some bullshit argument where nothing gets resolved and everyone complains about it until it happens again and nothing changes. This is complaining about it until it happens again. Well, what's going to happen again? I don't know. Maybe somebody else is going to do something like this. Right? And this guy is basically saying that because he doesn't like Twitter anymore, he's going to leave it. Okay. That's fine. That's completely understandable. Twitter is negatively affecting you. It's producing for you stress. Then you can leave Twitter. Everybody has that right. In fact, here's the thing. If I don't like how my Twitter feed looks, I can change that. I can unfollow people. I can mute people. Everyone has the ability on Twitter to tailor their tweets according to their interests. If you like cars, your Twitter feed can be all about cars. And it doesn't have to, just because, so if I make my Twitter feed and I'm following all people about cars, right? And they just so happen, they tweet about politics or something, that's on that individual person. I can't tell that person how he's going to tweet. But I also can, if I follow everybody about cars, I also can't complain about those people for tweeting about cars. Right? Is that pretty straightforward?
Yes.
Pretty much.
Makes perfect sense to me.
What do you guys think? Is there something about this first paragraph that speaks to any of you guys?
Not really, no.
Pause it for a second.
Seems mostly fair to me. I don't really.
Yeah, it's reasonable.
I love. Here's the thing that I love. He goes on this big rant about what this guy said in the Twitter thing, and then he goes, "What do you guys think?" Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, okay, sure. Like the rest of the people on this group chat just do not care at all about this, and he's just like, guys, I want your input. What do you guys think? Well, whatever. Why am I here? I could be playing Fortnite right now, but instead what I'm doing is I'm listening to Fred talking about some guy on Twitter that doesn't really affect me. Like, whatever. I'm sure there's going to be more of this, but I just wanted to put that out there. I found that funny.
Makes sense.
Well, can you zoom in? Because I think I'm looking at the zoom that you've got, and you're like in the middle of 3 different paragraphs.
Oh, sorry. Is that better? I zoomed it in by like 100%.
Just stay on what paragraph we're on, right there.
Yeah.
Just zoom. Let me see.
That's what I did. I just zoomed in.
I want people to be able to read. I want people to be able to read it, not just see that it exists. Because this Twidlonger doesn't exist anymore. The account doesn't exist anymore. So this is the last vestige of the. Perfect. There you go. Okay.
Like that?
Yes.
Oh.
Well, from what I can see, I don't know how delayed it is, but yeah, I just see like
I've been
All of it
I've been
in
zooming
screen.
in as much as I can to where it doesn't like have like where it has everything.
Okay, you zoomed way too much.
Yeah,
before
yeah. I'm going back. I'm going back. It's okay.
Pause it for a
Alright, I don't know
second.
how much delay there is, but anyways. Okay, so
Okay.
I think we can all agree that if somebody
Okay.
So they just spent about a minute or so complaining about the fact that the zooming in on a document is not proper. It's like, what are you doing? Why is this not in the right place at the right time? It's like, I'm getting here. I'm getting it. I'm getting there, dude. Like, relax. I'm trying to get there. No, it needs to be this exact moment. Why is it not there? Like, it was almost like a minute of this. And completely forgetting the point that you're talking about some guy on Twitter, but it's like, no, get this in the right moment right now because I need to go on a rant.
Yeah, because he's in the moment.
Mm-hmm. All
God
right.
damn it. Okay.
is not happy with the content of their Twitter feed, it's their right to leave Twitter. I don't think anybody is upset that he's leaving or whatever else. But I think the thing here is it's on you for what your Twitter feed is doing, right? And I actually looked at this guy's Twitter feed, and let me give you guys a story. I got a DM from this guy on July 9th. And what he said to me was, I am sort of not really into the DSP stuff anymore. I'm not angry with you guys. I'm just not really into the DSP stuff anymore, so I'm going to unfollow a bunch of people from the community. My response to him, literally, thank you for the heads up. I wish you the best. So back in July, I had an interaction with this guy where he said, like, hey, back in July, I just, I'm not interested in the Phil stuff. I'm going to unfollow you guys. I don't want you guys to think that I'm upset or anything like that. I just, I'm not interested in DSP. It's like, all right. Thank you for the heads up. I appreciate it. I wish you the best. That doesn't really sound to me like somebody is, oh man, we're just trying to keep this guy. He's not allowed to leave or anything like that. Wish them the best. But, I guess that's mistreatment. Anything else with this paragraph 4? Move on. All right.
Nope.
Moving on. Paragraph 2.
Pause it for a second.
Yeah.
Which brings me to something I haven't talked about in a while.
Anybody else? Dead silence. That's what I wanted to say to Fred. Like, Fred, if you knew that this was just going to be you talking about this and nobody else was going to be wanting to talk about this, you should have just done the stream yourself or made it a separate video, because there's no way that you should be bringing other people into your criticism of somebody. That would be like if I had a criticism about Jing and I brought the Legends crew on board and said, Jing did this to me on Untold, she did that to me, what do you guys think? And then nobody said anything. It would be like, okay, moving on. Or the other way around. If Jing went on Lawrence's show and started talking about how terrible Legends were, and then just nobody responded, it's like, why are we talking about this? I don't get this drama. What's the purpose? It would be like that. Nobody outside of it, beside our own personal beef with each other, would care. So the beef between me and Jing is going to have to be settled between ourselves and nobody else.
Yeah. Fred folks needed an echo chamber.
It's like, come on, guys, back me up.
He needed people to agree with him.
Guys, back me up here. Say that I'm right. All right, go ahead.
Oh my God.
Interesting. So if this man hasn't talked about, as we'll go on for DarkSydePhil, I'm wondering why DarkSydePhil is becoming to be a problem. I don't understand. I thought this man hasn't talked about it in a while, but we'll read on. My own personal opinion on DarkSydePhil. Unsurprisingly, I don't like Phil. He's an arrogant, narcissistic asshole.
Fred, hold on. Moogle, can you scroll down? Oh, there he goes. Okay. Sorry. Just wanted to make sure
I
people could
was
see.
doing that, Tyler. Thank you very much, asshole.
He was like halfway through the paragraph already. I just didn't know if you noticed.
Oh, I knew. I was like,
Okay,
I'm zoomed in, so it's like.
Okay, I apologize. Sorry.
It's
Go on.
cool, man. Don't worry.
Pause it.
So I think, like I said, we can all agree.
Well, back to my rant. Fred. I just needed to show you something. It's like, stop interrupting my thing, Tyler. Tyler, you freaking jerk. What are you doing? I am in the middle of this rant. I will address you when I am ready. Do not stop me during the middle of my little rant here. I will say to you guys, do you have anything to say? And that will be it. Go ahead.
Oh, God.
With his first sentiment that, you know, he didn't like his Twitter feed and he wanted to leave. Okay, cool. Which brings me to something, blah, blah. Unsurprisingly, I don't like Phil. He's an arrogant, narcissistic asshole who has to make his living by cursing and whining about video games on the internet because he's wasted whatever hiring potential he had by slothfulness and ego. His constant battles with the detractors, other YouTubers, and even his own fans have been both entertaining and frustrating at the same time. If there's any good I can get out of DSP, it's that my own life feels so much richer and fulfilling when compared to his miserable hermit existence. That's some negatives, ladies and gentlemen. Jesus Christ. That is some fucking negatives. Do we? I mean, I don't even know if we cut that deep and say that negative of things, but okay, that's fine.
Those are some negative things that this person is saying.
He doesn't like Phil. All right, that's fine. That's fine. He doesn't like Phil. Okay. I think we can agree on that.
Yep. I think that's pretty safe to say.
I'm not sure what this has to do with the fact that he's leaving Twitter because he doesn't like what's on his Twitter feed, but okay, that's fine. He doesn't like Phil. He wants to set the stage, I guess. But here's the next point. But let's be real here. Phil is not Hitler. He's not Kim Jong-il. He's an overweight, careerless 35-year-old who spends his days walking from one end of his house to another while complaining about how hard his life is. He is not worth getting angry about. Let's pause there. Are people like angry? Like, I don't know. People, you guys watch the show. I mean, I guess we can ask our audience, or we can ask people here. Like, do we get angry? I feel like the podcast is very tongue in cheek. It's very. I mean, we do this because we're fun. We don't come on here because we're angry and we want to rant. In fact, I don't think we rant very often. There are people in the past who've been on the show that rant all the time.
Pause it.
And I guess that was all fun and games. No one said.
You don't like to rant? What was that whole thing with the whole Encyclopedia Dramatica guy that you had a problem with? And to be honest, these guys talked about Phil a lot over the years. So, I mean, you have like some kind of obsession with him to the point where that was like most of your content. So, it may come across as angry to other people. It may come across as maybe tongue-in-cheek. Emotions are flying high when talking about Phil on your channel. So, just a point of note, you obsessed about him for a long time, even to the point where Retsuprace, Slow Beef, was on that bandwagon as well. So, the fact that you did this, and it's being translated to how other people are viewing it from you guys, could be toxic. We've only done 2 parts on him, and then we never done another one since.
Yeah. At least for us, for Legends of the Internet, just 2 parts.
Yep,
Okay.
and we don't need to do anymore, because what's there to do?
Yeah, pretty much.
Say anything about that. But for us, I mean, we come on and we're joking around with each other. We're talking shit about each other. I don't see what this angry thing is all about. And I don't really see angry people in the community. In fact, what I would say would be angry would be somebody that's going to delete their Twitter feed, basically rage quit Twitter, and leave, as you'll see here, like a 10-paragraph essay blaming people for why they left Twitter.
Pause
That
it.
seems angry to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's the problem with writing paragraphs on Twitter? Like, what's the problem with writing like an essay? Like, what's the issue with that? Like, if somebody is going to explain why they're doing something, let them talk. I don't know what it is about people and social media and the fact they don't like to read paragraphs or essays online. Like, me personally, I like reading, so I'm down to seeing somebody's thoughts and ideas being put on like a Twitter comment or whatever. So I just have to say, if it's something that is too much for you because you don't like the fact that he wrote 10 pages, well then maybe you should at least take the time to dissect what he says. Like, stop criticizing the person because they decided to write a very long thing. Some people just like to do that. Some people like to keep it short. Don't criticize somebody over the fact that they wrote something long. It's a cheap way of trying to knock somebody.
Yeah, we don't really get angry about him just like doing his, his day-to-day shit. The only time we've ever been like angry, and it's for brief moments, was when he's done something like truly insensitive, like shit
Make
on
money
people
off his good friend,
right?
Or shit on people in the army or stuff like that. It's just, we've only ever gotten angry when it's stuff that is genuinely just like kind of disgusting.
And it's not like
That's still being
rage.
angry.
It's just like, and also I think it's mostly just in the present, and
it's more like
points to some point, to some degree. I think a little bit might be a bit exaggerated, not totally, but like, I never feel genuinely pissed.
Yeah, it's not
something.
It's more in disgust than rage.
Right.
Yeah, but
so like when it's what
Yeah, like, and we've come out and talked against that when he got swatted and shit like that. We said we were disappointed about that, and that's not like, I just don't see where this like anger thing comes from, and I don't really see people in the community that are all that angry. Well, there was one person who was very angry, but he's basically gone. There are,
I don't know who this is
Pause
directed to. It's very general. And
I will say, usually this anger is stemming from other people. I will give them credit for, calling out people against swatting DSP because nobody deserves that. But I will say a lot of it is influenced by stuff that they've been seeing from these guys. If you listen to a group of people talking about somebody, and if you come off charismatic, they're going to take that, anything you say, and they're going to put it into their own emotions, and then they're going to be responding in a certain way. So the fact that they are probably not seeing this, that they just don't get it. They don't understand exactly what it is on how their influence on talking about a certain person affects other people, fans, other followers, users, and how they take action against somebody. I mean, we've seen this with Trump over here in America. And we have gone through that for 4 years. The stuff that he was saying ultimately affected a lot of people in their thinking about how America works. And now we're at this point where we're like completely divided because one side doesn't like the fact that they're losing. So they just kept on bashing. So, and he didn't instigate it. He didn't tell these people to go do it, but his influence allowed them to attack our Capitol building. So anything of his influence from Sons of Kojima about DSP could have encouraged anybody to go swat him just for the specific purpose that they were probably disgusted by the fact, like, there was, like they said, general disgust. They could have been disgusted too and have taken action against Phil because of it. So the fact that they don't see that means that they're ignorant of just how much their influence affects other people.
Pretty much.
very like, oh, to everybody.
Well,
not worth getting angry about. Like, oh, we're angry.
Yeah, but okay.
I mean, I admit I did, like, when I ranted about him several times beforehand. I mean, I did come across as like angry and shit, but it's not really me being absolutely completely
Pause it.
pissed to the point that
They just contradicted each other. If you notice, they said, well, Fred was saying, oh, we don't get angry on here. And then this guy just said, yeah, I have admitted I've gotten angry talking about it.
No. That's
Just
the
wanted to
biggest
point.
risk about having a panic. Yeah, go ahead.
Contradiction. I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah. Oh, God.
like if you want to do something malicious to him, it doesn't really work like that. I mean, it's the internet.
You voiced your disgust and then moved on.
Pause it. It's the internet. One of the worst excuses I have ever heard. It's the internet. We're allowed to do this. It's like, or this is the internet. It's expected, this type of behavior. It's like, no, I'm sorry. Like, just because the internet is not regulated as much as TV and radio does not mean that you're just as free to say. I mean, you're free to say these things, but it doesn't make you look good. That's why people have just like a sour taste about social media and its toxicity, because it encourages this type of behavior.
Yeah, actually.
All right. Let's move on. I've seen way too many people act as if they are on some kind of mission to defeat DSP. Why? What's the end goal here? Get him off YouTube, get his Patreon shut down. Why is this something that people would want? I'm curious about that too. I'm not sure where this like defeat Phil mission is. I personally have never really seen people outright express this. And the people that do are usually like, I don't know, people that don't really talk with anybody.
It's
like
never been.
They look weird. They like look like I don't know. They're like on the fringe of the community. I guess I don't know. I don't know these people.
It's never been a goal to get him off YouTube or like fuck his channel over
Never
for
has
us.
been.
It's just been fucking making fun of him for the stupid shit he does.
Now, I'm sure some people feel that way, but in my time here, not anybody that I would talk to or want to talk to or follow or be with. So
yeah,
maybe some others feel about this, and like I said, this right now it's very general, but like he's making it seem like this is the broad scope of everybody wants him to get his Patreon shut down, end goal, whatever. Like everybody has some kind of end goal.
There is no end goal. I can say that for a fact. Like we would be, if this isn't like some fucking end goal or whatever else like that. Our goal, not our end goal, but our goal has been to sort of meet people and make friends and sort of have a good time. And I think that we've done that. I think in the 2 years, I don't think we've ever expressed this, oh, let's fucking take them down mentality or anything else like that. So it just sort of takes me by surprise that either if this is about us or about people in the community, I don't see it. And I'd say that we're pretty immersed in the community. I think if somebody would notice these things, it would be us, because we're usually, Moogle, you are going out of control with the zooming. Why are you trying to get so cute with the zoom, Moogle? What is that? What are you doing?
I was making sure people can read it.
All right, whatever. Fine. You got it. We just want people to be able to read it, okay? Jesus. All right.
Okay.
Tyler, what are you doing? Why are you messing around with the Zoom? Well, Fred, I'm trying to make sure that the audience can actually read what's being put on the screen, so that way it will be legitimate and that we're not making this up. But fine, whatever, Tyler. Yeah, let's just continue, whatever.
What a control freak.
Thank you. Thank you for that. All right, anyways. So, all right. What exactly has Phil done to you personally that would justify that in your eyes? He blocked you. He banned you from his shitty-ass forum. He called you names on the internet. Take a second and think about how little that matters in the grand scheme of things. You will not miss out anything good by not seeing his tweets or not reading any of the garbage or wall of text he posts whenever a forum user pisses him off again. I would actually apply this advice to whoever upsets you enough to delete your Twitter, right? You don't have to see our tweets if you're mad at us, or as we'll see here in a second, our show. You don't have to interact with us in any way. And as far as I was concerned, you already made that decision back in July, and everything should have been good. We just get this random twitlonger yesterday.
Pause it.
And
so did this guy actually like mention Sons of Kojima by name when doing this? Explaining why this person's leaving Twitter? Did they mention Sons of Kojima by name? I forgot.
There are times he would, but not really.
Okay, so then what's the point of making this video then? Because I'm thinking, like, if this person is leaving Twitter and is not mentioning you personally as to why they left Twitter, then why are
you mean Doper? You mean the twitlonger?
Yeah,
He mentioned Sons of Kojima. He said he's leaving Twitter. It's not sure if he's leaving Sons of Kojima or whether he's a part of it. But he mentioned that he made a lot of friends in the group, and he actually ended up losing respect for a lot of people in the group.
All right, I needed clarification because I wasn't sure if Doper was saying anything about like the group in and of itself. I just needed to make sure, because if he wasn't mentioning them by name, then I would have said, well, what's the purpose of making this video if you're just going to go after some random person that's just doing it? But since he had correlations with the group, I can understand now. All right, go ahead.
And it just doesn't, I don't know, it just doesn't make sense. But anyways, so yeah.
Oops, what happened here?
Oh no. The video's loading?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, it's loading. Let me try to go back to the point we stopped a while ago. Let's see. Because we already have some points made. Okay.
And don't worry, he has no career future, no friends, no stable income. He spends whatever free time he has going to hotels in his own area instead of actually seeing the world, gaining new experiences. His health and lifestyle is nothing short of abhorrent. He'll find out soon enough how badly he screwed his life up. There's no need to try to hasten that process, and neither should you feel happiness about it happening. This isn't good. It's sad. It's sad that a grown man is wasting his own life by acting like a petulant child, crying about how everyone else is wrong and he's right, by banning or blocking anyone who challenges him in any sort of way. Okay. So that's good. That's a fair point. And if that's your opinion, that's good. I mean, there are people for sure that laugh at like his gout or whatever. We've laughed about him having gout, but it's a funny thing, right? We know the King of the Hill meme about Bobby Hill getting gout and stuff like that. I think we've had people that sort of give medical opinions about Phil and how he's doing and stuff like that. I mean, I don't really see if that applies to us or not. I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think we're guilty of this?
Pause it.
Guilty of what?
Yep.
You guys guilty of this? Guilty of what? I would say yes, because you made fun of the gout. If anybody knows what gout is, it's not something that I would wish upon anybody. So, regardless of who it is, you don't want to make fun of somebody because of like a medical condition that they have. even if it's somebody that you like making fun of. And I know that you like to take jokes out on King of the Hill, and you like to use that as an example. It's like, oh, they made fun of it, why can't we? Well, just because a network television show does it does not mean that it's proper humor. King of the Hill has also been known for doing some type of out-of-date jokes, so don't take that into account, and don't think that because they could do it because you can do it, because I would say you are guilty of at least being humorous about the gout or something like that. Like, if you have to go that low in order to make fun of somebody, then what are you really doing at this point?
Yeah.
Like having joy over his health going down?
No, just make fun of him because like he's eating himself to death, so it's on him.
Yeah, like it's completely different. To want him to die from that stuff.
And then he says that he eats healthy, which makes
different
it
from making fun of it.
better.
I've never been.
All
I've
we
never
do.
been- oh, sorry.
We make fun of it. People will make fun of fucking. Dude, there are people that will make fun of terrorism. We're making fun of some fat dude who has gout. So it's not like we're doing something bad. Not
Yes,
even
you
wishing
are.
him death or anything like that.
That doesn't matter.
I've never really cared about him or his health. I've just usually, whenever I've heard something about his health, such as he sprained his foot while playing Mario once, I've always been like, wow, that's really pathetic, but I'm really glad that that's not me. And I'll laugh because that shit's funny. It is funny to see him
Pause
have
it.
health that poor.
So if you sprained your ankle playing Mario Kart, I bet you would stop making fun of other people that do it too. But because it didn't happen to you, it's always funny to make fun of someone else's pain, according to this guy. Unless it happens to you, then it's not funny.
That's the level of awareness that they have.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never really gone further than, wow, that's just really sad.
Yeah.
It's like making fun of his intelligence. Everybody makes fun of him for that, but you don't hear anybody bitching about that. When we make fun of it.
The last thing I would say about this is that, again, there is sort of like this, crying about how everyone else is wrong and then banning or blocking anyone who challenges him. Well, when you sort of do this, I'm leaving, you don't get a response. This is the only response that we get. And just so happens that we have a show where we can do this, but I mean, I wasn't going to type. Who's going to read a twit longer that includes all of the fucking text of this and then plus mine? I did one with Joseph Collins, and it's like, it doesn't. This is our response. We responded on Twitter and sort of poked fun at this because we thought it was ridiculous. Hey, is it the right thing to do?
So my question is, why do you need to respond to this? What do you gain from responding to this? That's what my question is. I mean, if this is something that seems insignificant to you, why even bother?
Yeah, turns out that this is actually one of those, might be the only deleted episode from the SoCast or Sons of Kojima podcast. And they deleted this video because of the negative. Yeah, which is why I understand you have this reaction here. It's basically the same sentiment that turns out that a lot of people agreed with Doper. Because do you have any plans of moving on apart from doing DSP related content? Sometimes you can summarize it that way. And of course, this group is not akin to taking criticism, that they ended up using that way or that manner of responding to criticism as podcast material. And yeah, here we are. We have the deleted episode, and since nothing stays deleted on YouTube forever, we have material to use for critiquing here, or at least for sharing our opinions with. So let's go back to this clip. Yeah, you were saying something?
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
Maybe not. We're human, though. I mean, if somebody throws, and as you'll see, if people throw stones, I mean, we're going to react. That's part of being human. There's nothing about us that's better or different or held to a different standard than anyone else.
Pause it.
I saw a lot of the people that were like,
you are held to a higher standard because you are a YouTube channel with hundreds of thousands of subscribers. You're held to a higher standard. You're considered to be the echelon of some of the greats out there. So, at least in America, if you're a public figure, you're gonna be you're under a bigger microscope than somebody with 1,000 subscribers, like Jing, or if you're me with 4,000. I'm not going to be put on as big of a microscope as you guys, because who's going to care about what some person with 1,000 to 4,000 subscribers has to say about a particular thing? But specifically for these people, especially Fred, that has subscribers like on this base, more people are paying attention, more people are listening. And if you feel like you're not being set on that, if you don't feel like that you are not going to be put on a higher standard than the rest of society, well, then you're easily mistaken. Not everybody is equal. I wish it was, but we're not in that society right now. So this is a hierarchy, and you are on a bigger hierarchy than the both of us combined. So that's going to be something that is going to have a lot more attention on you. And if people are throwing stones at you, I would just say, if you have a good foundation and you have a good defense mechanism, then you don't have to worry about people throwing stones at you. Just go about your business. If it doesn't affect you, if it's not something that, if it's like legitimate criticism that you said something terrible, then yes, address it. But if it's just something of some person's opinion of you, don't bother with it, because it probably doesn't mean much, unless, of course, it's legitimate criticism and it does affect people negatively. Then address it. But, again.
Okay.
Sort of supporting this and sort of saying, like, oh, how dare the SOK say stuff to bad? These are the same people that would respond if somebody said something to them. So, people are human. They respond to things. So I read in the chat, somebody said, why are you guys reading this? This has nothing to do with you. All right. Well, fair choice. Fair point. We'll get to that. All right. Let's get to this, and then we'll get to why this has to do with us. All these general things that really, I don't know who responds or who it applies to, but we'll go ahead and we'll address how this deals with us. Next up. If you want to laugh at how shitty his life is or what an asshole he's been, go ahead, but don't pretend you're on some kind of internet crusade against him. Pause. I'm still not sure where the internet crusade is. Where is this crusade?
Crusade would mean like there's a goal, like we're actively pushing a central goal and trying to get something to be achieved, right? But I don't see that actually happening.
I'm not sure where this is. If there was a collective group of people that were goal-oriented towards directly taking down Phil, wouldn't that get done? Like, if there were so many people that were organized and ready and willing to try to take him down, wouldn't this shit already have happened? Like, wouldn't there have been more attacks? Wouldn't that be more, I don't know.
Pause it.
Yeah, we could.
It wouldn't have been possible. Even if they had orchestrated it, it wouldn't have been possible to take Phil down because he did not violate any of the terms of service on YouTube, as far as I can recall. I mean, if you're intentionally trying to take someone down, you would be considered the people that are censoring him. So the fact that there is like, why hasn't it happened yet? Well, it's because it's not possible. Even if you did it, it wouldn't be possible. Even if someone else did it, it wouldn't be possible. So, it wouldn't have happened. I mean, he's still on YouTube as far as I know, but just doesn't get a lot of money from it nowadays.
Yeah.
Since he puts his shit online, we could just easily dox him or hack him or whatever. But nobody chose to do that.
All right. Take a step back and let the man wallow in a mountain of crap that he made for himself. Don't let yourself be dragged down to his level of bitterness and anger by getting worked up about him, or get angry about his fan base or equally idiotic man children. And please don't fantasize about him being homeless. I know people that are or have been homeless. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. Well, I do know for a fact that somebody on this show has said that he wants to see Phil be homeless, and we all sort of like twisted our face at that, and that person is long gone and a fucking disgrace. So that person is way gone. A disgusting, crazy person. But anyways, about that.
Come on, Fred.
But that person is long gone, and anyone that has been like actively rooting against Phil, they don't last because they're not here for the right reasons. People that are in this group are here because they want to be friends with people, because they want to have fun. And if you have anything other than that, then you're gone. You don't last because you're not here for the right reason.
Pause it.
You know.
So their fun is considered talking about DSP most of the time. That's what they're most known for. So their fun is considered like, oh, hey, what did DSP say today? My thing is like, okay, I'm glad they got rid of the person that said like DSP should be homeless. Well, that was good on their part. But I mean, if it was about making friends and building a community, don't try to make it about so much of going after DSP all the time, because that's what you're known for, and it stoops you to his level. To be fair, I mean, this is what Doper was saying. Like, you're getting put down to his level because all you do is talk about him most of the time, and there was people have been. I'll use this example with Legends, people have been saying that we should have done like a whole like marathon of Christian, and I said I don't want to do that. I did 3 parts on Christian, and I said I'm not doing any more, and I have stuck by that because I'm not gonna stoop to that level, because I've already done Sonic 2 twice. I've done 3 Christian videos, and after the 3rd one, I said, okay, that's it. I'm done. I don't want to do it anymore. And of course, there were a lot of people that didn't want to hear that, because that's what people mostly came onto the channel for. But I was seeing the writing on the walls. Like, what else can we talk about? We need to talk about other things. We need to address other people that have been making, that have made some terrible things, or they've made some great things. There are other stuff out there. It's not just one person we're going to talk about, because that's not what the channel is all about. It's other topics, and yes, we do have fun, but it's mostly just because we're making each other laugh, because we're making our own jokes, but we're not attacking other people because of it. If there's any negative reaction to somebody, it's because they did something really terrible, considered by society standards really bad, and we address that. So the fact that these guys have done nothing but bash or just make fun of DSP most of the time, that seems to be what their community is mostly based on, and that's how they've grown their community, because they were just making fun of mostly one person. And because of that, they got stooped to what DSP's level, according to Doper, and there's a legitimate criticism for that. And the fact that they don't recognize it is terrible, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Somebody says that the stream keeps buffering like crazy.
No, it's just one guy.
Okay. Good.
Someone already said it's fine.
I was gonna say.
Eddie said it was fine.
I'm just making sure. Okay. If people in the chat are guessing who it was, you guys are not correct on who you're guessing.
Yeah. No.
It's somebody that no one even remembers or bothers knowing. So
yeah, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't even worry about it. Getting work, blah blah blah. Fam equally out, blah blah blah. Please don't fantasize. Okay, so now we come to the point where everybody in the chat who's like, why are you guys fucking talking about this? How does this deal with you guys? Oh my god, you guys shouldn't even address this. All right, well, let's talk about this right here. The delightful paragraphs. Four fun-filled paragraphs where it all comes to. Now, if we just jumped straight to these paragraphs, people would say, well, you guys just fucking picked out what you wanted and you only addressed that. We went and looked at all of the Twitlonger, right? And we addressed point by point our perception, if this applies to us, and if we agree with it or not. As you can see, a lot of the people here agree with some of this guy's points. So just to bring it up, that's the reason why we're going through the whole thing. Okay, so that people aren't saying, you guys are just focusing on the negative. I saw that too. You guys are just focusing on the negative and not his entire message. Okay, well, we're reading his entire message. So thank you. Which brings me to the SOK, and boy, he does not know how to lowercase that O. That's the most offensive thing about this whole thing, actually. Which brings me to the SOK anti-DSP detractors, whatever. I don't want to be too negative about this because I have my Twitter account because of them, and also because I felt like I've done my own share of bitching about DSP and his actions, so I'm not blameless here. Okay, so that sentence sounds good. I'm going to talk about the SOK / all of the anti-DSP detractors, right? So this would make you feel as though this is about everybody. This is about the community in general. These next paragraphs are about what the entire community is doing, the problems of the entire community. Let's see what his problems with the entire community is. That being said, I would like to ask, is going on and on about Phil really getting anyone anywhere? Is bitching about him for 75% of a podcast, and please don't tell me it's not. I've listened and participated in enough of them. I've seen the Google Doc, where most of it was the same 5 or 6 Phil joke questions repeated over and over and over, and I know that several times they focus so much on them that anything non-Phil related gets ignored, really helping anyone. So we can point out that this claim is exclusively about the SoCast, the Google Doc, and us. Okay? So the people that are at home saying, why are you guys talking about this? Why is it you? We went from the entire community to directly, what the fuck is up with the SOK talking about Phil? What is the SOK doing? Okay, so let's address what the SOK is doing. We had a guy by the name of Max in the Google Docs, or sorry, not in the Google Docs, the YouTube comments that goes and timestamps our episodes. We actually looked at these timestamps, and yeah, there are some episodes where about 80% of the show gets taken up by, let's say we do an impromptu Phil Let's Endure. Let's say that we have a guest caller that specifically wants to talk about Phil. There are shows that have been that much. But I looked at a number of them, and you'd be surprised that half to 60% of the show is Phil. The rest of it is usually gaming and miscellaneous topics, right? The thing is, a lot of the time...
Who cares about the percentages? You're still talking about them in almost every episode that you're doing. It doesn't matter if you're doing it 50, 60%. And then the rest is just gaming, or if it's like 40%, you're still doing it. It's the fact if it's the majority of the minority of the time is entirely irrelevant. You're still most of the time talking about them in every single episode that you do. So that's what the legitimate criticism is. This is what you are mostly known for, is the Endure DarkSydePhil stuff, and that's what people come onto your channel for. So the fact that it's only like 50 to 60 or 40 to 50% doesn't matter. The fact that it's even considered a topic for some of the episode is the problem.
When we put out the Google Doc, there are times that Phil doesn't do anything where there's nothing worth talking about. And we end up talking a lot about gaming and miscellaneous shit and just slander each other, right? So I would actually invite you guys to go to our videos and to go look at the timestamps and go look at exactly what is the content of the videos. I would invite you to do that for yourself, okay? But this is what I would say. When we started this show, because we wanted to talk about what we ever talk about in calls and sort of like broadcast calls and stuff like that. The thing is, I just think that if we were to completely change the show and make it about just ourselves or something like that, that would be disingenuous. That would be disingenuous as to what the show started as and to what we've been doing. And the thing is,
do these people not understand that times change and people are going to be wanting different content as time goes on? Like, I'm even considering just completely just making a show just based on what happens with the co-hosts and I, what we want to talk about, the topics. Like, sometimes we just get tired of, like, just talking about certain legends. I mean, this has been happening for about 5 years now, and it's gotten to the point where it said, let's just do a gaming channel. Let's just make each other laugh. I mean, we've had a lot more fun just doing like a general like fun discussion where all we do is just not make fun of each other, but you know, we just come up, because we don't do that, but it's mostly just I'll say something or I'll just come up with a funny scenario and we just laugh about it, and that's what mostly the fun parts of the episode are. Sometimes it's about somebody bringing up some type of article, or it's like, oh hey, let's talk about what national days are on our birthdays, and then we just make something out of that. It's the fact that you don't want to do anything different because you feel like it's disingenuous is wrong. I mean, at some point, it's going to come down to, okay, what is it? I mean, is this something that you really enjoy doing? And if it's not, then why do you keep doing it? Oh, well, because it would be disingenuous to stop. Well, no. I mean, if anything, that's why my friends and I have decided that we want to do a gaming channel, which Jing is gladly allowed to be on. But it's mostly just going to be about us just, you know, talking about things while playing a game. And that's mostly what it's going to be about. And we're going to have fun doing that. And then people are going to come on and they're going to enjoy watching it because it's like good and natural fun. We're not doing this to bash people. We're not doing this to do anything. But that's the evolution of what we as a community have decided to do. And it's not something that we're going to stay put at, because times change, we get older, and that's mostly what it's all about. And the fact that these guys don't want to do that just shows how conservative they are in this scenario. And see, Ghosty joined us because Ghosty loves Jing.
I love you too, Madame Ghosty. And yeah, because I mean, look at what she wrote. Yes, make fun of me. I don't know. I don't remember making fun of you, Ghosty. I'm just happy that you're here. Oh, God. Yeah, I resume, okay?
Go ahead.
Because, yeah, finally, she made it to some of the best parts.
We put out a Google Doc, and that Google Doc usually is what we go off of for the show. We put out the Google Doc. We put out 3 things for people to give topics on, and we go down it. Now, we start with the Phil stuff. Yeah, we start with the Phil stuff. We start with something, and usually the other stuff gets as much time as we're able to stay up. Like, if we started with gaming stuff, maybe the gaming stuff would go 3 hours. We'd get carried away. Like, we start with the Phil stuff, We get carried away with all sorts of other shit. And then we end up with whatever time we have left over doing gaming miscellaneous. And even then, a lot of the times it ends up being half Phil stuff, half miscellaneous other shit like that. So I don't really know why this guy is trying to say, and he's also trying to verify for himself, like, oh, and don't tell me that it's not. No, I'm going to tell you that it's not. And the timestamps that actually has an unbiased, because the guy that's been doing the times, he's unbiased and he's not trying to prove a point. He's showing exactly what is in the show. I would invite you to go look at that for yourself. But this guy's not going to do it. He just has in his mind, absolutely awesome guy. This guy has it just in his mind that this show is negative. But I thought this guy's talking about why he deleted his Twitter account. What does the show have to do with his Twitter? I didn't know that this show was on Twitter. Did you guys know that this show was on Twitter?
Pause it.
No, I had no idea.
Oh, okay.
Wait,
well, he could probably delete. He can.
He's getting rid of his Twitter because he does not want, because he considers it to be an addiction because of the type of content that these guys are putting out there. And to Ghosty's point, why is this person so passive aggressive? Exactly my point. Exactly my point.
Yeah.
Doper's getting rid of his Twitter because Twitter can be an addiction, and Sons of Kojima is definitely a cause of that addiction. And the further you get away from that, the better. And the fact that he took it so literal, like, I didn't realize this show was on Twitter. Guys, is this show on Twitter? No, that's not what he's saying. He's saying that he's getting rid of his Twitter because you guys come off as toxic, and the longer he has that Twitter, the more he's going to get put down this rabbit hole of getting into the whole Sons of Kojima DSP situation.
Definitely.
Delete his Hitbox account if he wants.
Make a hit longer about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't know that this show affects how somebody would be able to be on Twitter.
Pause
what does
it.
this have to do with Twitter?
Okay.
Can somebody explain that? I know there's some.
Did you hear what he just said? He's like, I don't understand why somebody would get rid of their Twitter account because of what we do. Well, as I was saying previously, you are causing some type of addiction at this point, and the fact that you're not aware of that is an issue. And the fact that you don't want to see that is also an issue. Go
More
ahead.
like the latter.
Some people in the chat that I guess, are unbiased. So I would ask for somebody that's, maybe in the middle or whatever, or, even if you support the guy, whatever. Can somebody explain to me why somebody that's leaving Twitter is talking about the SoCast? I'm confused. That I'm confused about. It has fuck all to do with it. Okay, fair enough. Delete Hitbox TBH.
Make a hit longer.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand what talking shit about the show has to do with why someone's leaving. It makes him relevant. Okay.
I might have a theory on that.
Because we post that the show is starting on Twitter. Yeah, but that,
one tweet a week. And
okay,
that doesn't expose you. That doesn't expose you to the content of Twitter of the show. You see what I mean?
Hold on.
I mean, I guess it
Hold
does
on.
if you actually click the link.
Yep.
Exactly my point. You're putting out a tweet with the link to your show. That is a gateway. You just answered your own question, guys. You just answered your own question.
You have to rely on the chat box for that podcast episode, because it's like, okay, let's give them the benefit of the doubt that they don't know and they lack the self-awareness, and that they're practically asking their own audience why someone like Dober would have to delete his Twitter account. Yeah, they got their answer.
Yeah,
And
They just answered it before I could even say anything.
oh God. Even Ghosty's laughing.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just continue.
But then you're on Hitbox,
Yeah.
not Twitter.
Right. So this is part of the reason why we responded sarcastically and stuff, because this is basically irrelevant. What the show is makes no sense about why somebody would leave Twitter.
Pause
And there,
it.
by the way, there are.
If it's so irrelevant, why are you doing this? I keep bringing this up. If this is so irrelevant, why are you doing an hour-long discussion about it? If it's this unrelevant, who is this trying to justify? Are you trying to justify your actions? Are you trying to do this for your fans? Are you trying to make Doper look like an idiot? What is the purpose then if it's irrelevant to you? If it's so irrelevant to you, you don't need to do this. Period. And Ghosty is probably saying that to make Doper look like an idiot is the correct answer.
Because that's basically what they're trying to do. Like, trying to point out point by point and still coming across as dumb. Because they've been contradicting themselves on this clip, obviously.
There are a lot of people on Twitter that don't watch the show. There's a lot of people in this community that don't watch the show. Right? Crazy. I didn't know that either. You know? So, anyways,
really?
I just wanted to. I was just curious what our show has to do with somebody being able to remain on Twitter. That's what I was just curious.
I do have an idea on why.
Okay.
I believe. Well, this is what I think. I think that whoever this is, he just ended up being unhappy with the SoCast, and he felt like the best way to actually voice this is for some reason to delete his Twitter. It has fuck all to do with his Twitter. Like, he just felt like he could get the most attention and the best response by just voicing it all on Twitter and then leaving so dramatically. That's really it. At least I think so.
Okay.
If he were a more popular person that had any other avenue to voice his dislike of the show, he probably would have done it that way. But since probably the thing he's most known for by most people is his Twitter account, he felt like doing it there.
Pause it.
Okay. All right.
That's just a...
Oh my God. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
God.
This is so painful, that explanation, because yes, he's going to use his Twitter to get to bring attention to this. This is obviously the reason why, and he's not doing this for attention, because why? If you're going to leave Twitter, you're not doing it, and if you're legitimately leaving, that attention goes away for yourself after a while. It's bringing attention to the fact that this show that they run has been toxic to at least this person, is addressing it and saying, I am leaving, and here is the reason why I'm leaving Twitter. Because Twitter is a gateway to this show that has been nothing but toxic for my life, and I am leaving, and I'm addressing this, and I'm using Twitter as a way to tell people about this, because this is where most of my followers are. And the fact that because they are trying to say that this guy is irrelevant because he's not as popular as they are, if he would have actually had a lot more followers, he probably would have addressed it differently, is entirely irrelevant.
We would just be ending this clip, and then we'd be having some thoughts before. Oh, by the way, this is just volume 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just a heads up.
Theory.
So,
Still theory.
So there you go. So anyways, I almost forgot that we're explaining why this guy's leaving Twitter. He's actually talking about how shitty the show is and how much he doesn't like it. But all right, apparently the show is responsible for all of the ills of the community. But all right, let's continue on. That being said, so anyway, so we cleared up the whole notion of 75%, and we have the timestamps to back that up. I've seen the Google Doc, and most of it was just the same 5 or 6 Phil jokes repeated over and over. I disagree with that. I'm looking at our Google Doc now, and there's a lot of new stuff. I don't really see that many jokes. There are people that repeat questions from week to week because we don't get to them, but I don't agree with that either. And I would ask you for you to look at, like, this person doesn't provide any examples or anything like that. I would ask for you to look at the docs. You tell me. Okay. Over and over several times. They focus so much time on them that anything not from Phil. Let's see. Phil isn't changing from anything being said on them, and neither are his airheaded fans gonna stop pledging their money to him. What's there to even talk about at this point? Phil says stupid shit about something he knows jack shit about. Phil gets criticized and responds by blocking them and then writing another wall of text. Phil whines about a video game not letting him win easily. At what point does it become obvious that this is just the same old boring crap from him? Well, that's up to you, right? If you almost speak as though you're speaking for like the people, as though these are like a whole bunch of things that everyone believes. If you personally believe that the show is boring and that you don't like it anymore, and that's fine. What does that have to do with your Twitter? Like, if you're trying to, first you were trying to, I guess you were trying to make the argument that like the Twitter or that the show is like damaging or something like that. But now you're just saying that the show is boring. Okay, cool. That's completely up to you. There are a bunch of people. There are 326 here. There are thousands on YouTube that don't think the show is boring. In fact, I can show you numbers and show you that there are more people watching the show than ever. So I don't think that this is a widely held belief. Maybe you and your circle of friends or whatever the fuck think that the show isn't good or whatever. That's fine. Again, what does this have to do with your Twitter? I don't get it. But all right, if you don't think the show is good, that's fine. That's your opinion.
They're criticizing you for your content. It has nothing to do with your... It's like, stop bringing up the Twitter thing. Like, what does this have to do with your Twitter? He's leaving because your content sucks. To put it bluntly. That's what Doper's saying. Your content sucks. My Twitter is a gateway to your content, and that's why I'm leaving. And what is it, 5 years later? And who's talking about Sons of Kojima anymore? I mean, to be honest, they're not even relevant nowadays because of the fact that this criticism just amounted and got bigger and bigger and bigger, and they couldn't, and it overwhelmed them, and they couldn't go, and they couldn't do anything about it.
You're welcome to have that. Okay, cool. You know, like the show. Next up. Also, if the SOK wants to bring on guests like Mr. Mediker so they can talk shit and say insulting things about people and their spouses, things that have nothing to do with them in order to get the lulz and trigger some retards, LOL, then go ahead. It's their podcast. But then don't go and pretend the SOK isn't responsible for it and that this won't reflect badly on the community. Okay? So, again, what does this have to do with Twitter to say, oh, well, they brought on Mr. Mediker and they're hypocrites? I actually talked with somebody who really had to backpedal on this notion. I challenged the notion that we get outraged over the use of Phil using words. And this person was able to bring up something from 2015 where I talked about Phil saying racist shit in Metal Gear Solid 1. Now, the reason why we thought that the Metal Gear Solid 1 was ridiculous was because it just wasn't funny. The reason why we think that Phil's racist moments shit is ridiculous is because it's not funny. It's not just simply because he's saying words it's because the way that he's using them is not funny. When we do a Let's Endure, right? We're reacting to things and we're pointing out things that are either not funny or stupid or whatever else like that. We're not here to be outraged, and I would actually challenge I would welcome anybody to show me examples where we're freaking out, pitchforks and torches because he's using a word. That's what I would like to see. Because there's this notion, ever since we had Mr. Medicare on, there's been this sort of thing to try to discredit us, to say that, oh, Mr. Medicare used some words, but if Phil used those same words, you would go pitchforks and torches. Well, if we have before, show us. And if we haven't before, then you're just coming up with something to try to discredit us and try to get us to either be in conflict with Mr. Medicare or something else like that. So that's what I would like to see. I would like to see these huge examples of when we were up in arms over Phil's simple use of a word. And when we did have Let's Endures, we pointed out that it was not funny. Because it's not funny. When he ding ding dong and stuff, it's obnoxious and it's not funny, but we're not saying that it's, oh, he's a racist and he needs to be taken down because he's just racist. Okay, so anyways. Anybody else have anything to say about that? That's one that I think is really starting to like spread for some reason. I think if you say something enough, people will believe it. And this is the one that is probably the most annoying because there's this sort of like hypocrisy thing that people are trying to build by saying, oh, the SOK freaks out about Phil's simple use of words. And I don't remember that. And the one example that somebody gave me was a forum post from 2015.
Usually when we hear him say words that you would call offensive, like we laugh when we hear him say, because the way he does it is he just says it just out of nowhere, just at complete random. Sometimes he says it with like a lot of venom behind it, or just like a lot of, I would say maybe he has joy when he says it. So you would just laugh at just like how unfunny it is, or just how random it is. You've never been pissed about it.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know. That to me, I don't know. And the thing is here, okay, don't go and pretend that the SOK isn't responsible for it. Responsible for what? What are you saying that we're responsible for having Jim on? Like, the way that this happened was, number one, a mutual friend of ours was like, hey, you guys want to talk with Jim? And we were like, okay, cool.
And new Jim.
What's that?
And new Jim, too.
Yeah. Do you guys want to talk with Jim? We were like, oh, okay, cool. Set it up. We had him on. The second time Jim came on, he had somebody like literally just tweet him, someone that we've never seen before, was like, hey, you're going to go back on the showcase. Jim was like, yeah, sure. People got pretty butthurt when I was on there. I'd love to come on there again. We were like, okay. And we had fun with that episode. Like, I don't see this whole like, oh, they're responsible or whatever. We have people on with different points of view, right? We think Jim is actually pretty funny. He's a funny guy. I watched his, a lot of us, we watched his debate stuff. We thought it was pretty funny when he did the Hillary and Trump debate coverage. We thought that was funny. He had a lot of funny shit to say. Yeah, does he say stuff that, you know, would make a librarian gasp? Yeah, he doesn't say the most church-friendly stuff, but neither do we, right? I mean, we use different slang terms. He uses fag and kike and other shit like that. Whatever. We use different fucking slang terms.
So
like fake.
Well, the fact that you're associating yourself with someone that likes to use like offensive terms like that, maybe that also has to do with the fact that it's considered toxic because you're hanging out with Medicare of all people. I mean, Medicare is not exactly somebody that I would say is a really good person, and the fact that you guys associated yourself with him because you liked his humor and his content, and today, 5 years later, that type of content is not exactly popular anymore because we're evolving and we're growing, unlike these guys that don't seem to want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody has their own like slang terms that they use, whatever. We have mouth sounds that sound.
What
good
do you
to
expect us to do? Act like his parents and tell him, "Oh, you're say this"? We just, yeah, I don't understand that. People expect us to act like we're his parents or something when he's on here.
Pause
like
it.
We're supposed to control what he said.
No, there's a difference between being someone's parent and then holding somebody accountable for when they say something stupid. You have as much as you don't want to think, you have a responsibility as a human being to point out this type of crap, especially if it's considered terrible in society's standards. If we as a society have determined that this stuff is bad, then we have to call this out. We have to hold people accountable to this. And the fact that we haven't for a very long time is the reason why we're in this position right now. And then we're finally waking up to this stuff. And finally in 2021, we're realizing that. When this was posted, nobody would hold anybody accountable because, A, they didn't want to. Because why would you want to do that back then? But nowadays, people just don't want to. They didn't want to take responsibility for things. They just want to do whatever they want with no criticism. That's what most of these YouTube channels like to do, and they're not getting away with this type of stuff anymore. And Sons of Kojima is not that big anymore because of it, because times have changed and we're growing and evolving.
Or the mediators.
People expect us to act like saints, but yeah, we're not allowed to fuck up or anything.
And just
Pause
because we don't.
We're not asking you to be perfect. Everybody is gonna make mistakes. It's not a good or evil situation. There is a gray area in all of us. We're gonna make mistakes, but we're gonna call them out and we're gonna learn from it. Nobody's saying you should be perfect. Just at least acknowledge it and then, apologize and make amends if you need to. Even if you never get forgiven for it, that's what ultimately happens for everybody around. Stop thinking that it's just like, oh, well, these people are expecting us to be perfect. No, just acknowledge it. That's all we're saying. And Ghosty's saying they do things like this and they're surprised that they're losing popularity. Exactly.
Yeah. Good point there, Ghosty.
Go overboard and say shit all the time and go out of our way to say that doesn't mean that we're like, oh, we cry whenever we hear that shit. We all watch fucking South Park and all this other shit. Like, I don't think anybody gets offended, at least not on this cast right now, gets offended by in terms of stuff that like someone that Jim would say, but I can understand what people outside would. But at least
for this guy to claim that it reflects badly on the community, how does it reflect badly on you if Mr. Medicare comes on the show and says negatives? How does that reflect on you? How self-important are you that you feel as though this represents you, or that you are somehow besmirched, or that you don't look good enough by, oh, well, if Jim comes on and says some curse words, then I don't look as good. Like, I don't understand this. I don't understand this attitude that Jim coming on reflects poorly on the community. You can say that it reflects poorly on us, and that's fine. We have people, you could say that having fucking Ariad Lord reflects badly on us because he flip-flops all the time or whatever else like that. Like, you could say that having the mods on reflects badly on us because, oh, they're Phil supporters and you guys don't like Phil, so you guys are hypocrites. Like, any guest that we have on, you could say reflect. We got, dude, Lil Paul, you remember when we got a bunch of shit because we had Jack on, Cooking with Jack?
Yeah.
We had people inside the group. They're like, you guys are going off the fucking. Why are you guys doing famous people? People inside the group were bitching about that. Any guest that we have the potential to have that reflect poorly on us. Like, but it doesn't reflect on the community.
Yes, it does. A. B. Because when you platform some people, they don't understand just how much that affects that community and how much of a platform you're giving them. People have said the same thing about Joe Rogan for years because he platforms a bunch of these right-wingers and they have said a lot of batshit crazy things, but he just automatically lets them on his show because, marketplace of ideas, but doesn't understand just how much responsibility he has for allowing these guys to get bigger because of his own platform. There's just people that just want to make money off of this, and they don't want to be held responsible for it. And the community is all about this because they don't want change. It does look bad on the community because they allow this stuff to happen, and they don't criticize Sons of Kojima at all. They don't even criticize their own guests. It affects badly on you because you're platforming them, and that's the reason why. You're giving them more clout. You're giving people more of a reason to say that these are acceptable people in the YouTube community, and the fact that you don't hold them accountable is the reason why they get bigger, and that's the reason why you see a lot more batshit crazy ideas being put in the YouTube algorithm, because that's what ultimately people start flowing towards, because that's what YouTube's all about.
I could only sigh in relief. I can't help but notice the projection going on. It's like the things that they're accusing Doper of doing. It reflects more on them, actually.
It does.
So, it looks bad on them because of this is how they explain themselves.
Who could be mad about Jack, though?
Plenty. And a lot of people didn't care, and he was very PC. He didn't say many curse words. He's a Christian, so
yeah.
You know.
Same thing with Yak Jr.
Yeah. Well, people and Lord, yeah, people did not like Yak Jr. So,
yeah,
but
people were like, "Who the fuck is this kid?"
But this is ridiculous. He says, "I know the SOK aren't role models and can say or do whatever. I appreciate someone finally saying that." But maybe they should stop acting self-righteous whenever Phil and his fan base act like this as well. Where is this coming from? Where is self-righteous coming from? Are you being self-righteous by talking about us?
Are you okay, Jing?
Is it if it's not you? If it
No, I'm just blown away. Like, what the hell? Oh God.
It's us, then it's self-righteous. This twitlonger seems pretty self-righteous to me about how somebody is to blame for you leaving Twitter, but to say that we're acting self-righteous because we're poking fun at things that Phil does, that's not correct. And the other thing is, like, we don't take this fucking, we're better than Phil approach. We haven't. We've said in the past that we have learned lessons from Phil. We've said that, and I know because I've said that myself, and I remember saying this, that we remember certain lessons from Phil, and we like the fact that he shows us what it is that we can avoid doing ourselves. That's about it.
All right.
Okay. Perfect. Moving on. Let's see. Blah, 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 blah. Don't go and pretend there. Okay. Next up. But then again, people mostly just tune in for Phil's drama. You can try to sugarcoat it with other things. Again, let me point out, this is the third paragraph, just singling out us, right? He prefaced this, and I'd love to get some confirmation in the chat from people who are like, oh, what the fuck? Preface it by saying that this is about the entire community, and this we're on paragraph 3 about just about us. And again, this is why he left Twitter. Okay, the show again. Mostly people. He's just attacking the show. He's attacking the show as his reason why he's leaving Twitter. Okay, dude. But then again, people mostly just tune in for Phil drama. You can try to sugarcoat it with other things, but it's still every bit the Phil drama alert show. And while this is fun for a while, I eventually got really sick and tired of hearing about people bitching about him constantly, or constantly tweeting about him, or picking fights with each other about him nonstop. Okay, number one. If you don't like the show, that doesn't affect your ability to be on Twitter. If you don't like people that are tweeting about him, then unfollow those people. And if people that you refuse to unfollow, like your friends, are still doing this, then go talk to them about it. Because essentially what it looks like, you already unfollowed us. You already unfollowed all of us. But there's people that you did not unfollow because I guess they're your friends or whatever the fuck. And apparently this stuff kept creeping into your life and you blamed us for it instead. Doesn't make any sense. Again,
No,
this doesn't
it
make any
does.
sense.
It perfectly does. You just don't want to see it.
Anyways. Yeah, people tune in for Phil stuff. You're right. People tune in. People tune in for the giveaways. People tune in there are people that just tune in because there's a girl on the show. There's people that just tune in because fucking Google's on the show. There's people that just tune in whenever.
Wait. People tune in because there's a girl in the show? What the hell?
Oh my god.
I'm sorry, I have to pause at that point. I know I don't think I don't think that's the reason why people tune into the show. Thank you very much for everyone that stayed here, but last time I checked on that ED page, you only have one girl in the group. I think she's the girlfriend of one of the former core group members, and of course they tried to. Well, they succeeded in getting out of the group because they realized it's no longer worth it. And then suddenly you'd say that people tune in to you because you have a girl. You really need. Oh God.
Yeah, people
I'm
do
not
not.
sure if they're reality check. Yeah, go ahead.
People are not tuning into Legends because I have 3 women co-hosts. They're tuning in because they want to hear about the topic that we're talking about. It just happens to have 3 women on the show.
Yeah.
Jing and Ghosty from time to time. But it's not because like, oh hey, there's like these 3 girls on the show and we got to tune in for that. No. People are tuning in because there's a girl on the show. Well, what does that say about your community, first of all? What does that say about them? B, the fact that you acknowledge that, yes, we do Phil bashing videos because it's fun to do it. Well, that's your issue again. Again. That's why Doper is getting rid of the Twitter, because it's the gateway to you guys. And the fact that Doper's friends were still lingering on about it and couldn't get away from it is another reason why. And you still can't see it.
Yeah. Okay.
We do a giveaway. There's people that just tune in for the gaming stuff.
There's people that tune in because we're just funny.
Oh. Yeah, even my own internet is giving up from all the crap going on. Oh God, I can't blame them. Because it still has some. Okay, I'll just try to forward it there. See, even my internet service provider is offended by what they said. It's that bad. Okay, where's that? Okay, there you go. And yeah, Madame Ghosty said, yeah, if that's actually what they think, then who the hell is their audience? People literally stay listening to a podcast just to hear a girl's voice and get the rocks off. LMAO. Okay. Oh, God. I don't think I'm doing. I thank you, Ghosty. Yeah. Yeah, I'm really sorry about that, Ghosty. Even the internet is not taking this. Okay. I should be ready for volume 2 then. Okay.
Because there's a girl on the show. There's people that just tune in because fucking Moogle's on the show. There's people that just tune in whenever we do a giveaway. There's people that just tune in for the gaming stuff.
There's people that tune in because we're just funny as fuck.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. I eventually got tired of it. Okay, that's fine. You know what I mean? Like, I also have personal issues with a few of their members, how they treated people that I know and care about, and how some have treated me, which made me lose a lot of respect I once had for them as a group. Well, I can personally say I've never heard about this either. I can personally say I've literally said nothing much to the guy other than positive things. Every interaction I've had with this guy has been positive. And then he just disappeared over the summer. I don't really know what this guy is talking about. If there's personal things going on, You solve it with those people. I don't understand this. Well, they treated people that I know. Well, I haven't had a conversation with this guy. I don't know if anyone had a conversation with this guy about this personal stuff. So if you're just taking one person's side, like, hey, they did this to me and this is what, and then you just listen to that and didn't listen to the other side at all, I mean, that seems a little biased. And you don't always get the truth just hearing one side. But
well, actually, yes, you can.
I've never had a
you're
bad
not
dealing
going to acknowledge
with this guy
that.
ever. So I don't know.
No, they never did.
I don't know what this is about.
I'll pause it 1 second.
Yeah, never.
Okay.
One side can completely lie, while the other side can completely be telling the truth. Just because you want to hear both sides and then something's going to be in the middle is not always accurate. The people that keep saying that is not understanding exactly what a person's motivation is. That's something that needs to be put out there. One person can be telling a complete lie and trying to make people believe in that lie. We've been seeing this happen for a few years now, and it's been coming full circle because of it. So this whole, we need to hear both sides and the truth is in the middle, is completely false.
Nobody knows the truth until they have some evidence to show. That's the thing.
Phoenix Wright style.
Definitely.
Never heard about this. I have no idea who this could possibly be. It's so like it seems like this is also another thing. Oh, I have a huge problem with this, but no, I'm not going to tell anyone. Like, what? How does that help anybody whatsoever? If you're not going to say, if you're not going to talk to somebody about who you have this problem with, you know, what can we do? We can't respond because he left Twitter, quote unquote. So yeah, I just read that and it's like, okay, so you clearly had other things wrong with certain people, but you built all that shit up inside of you and then just let it out in this huge big fucking twit longer instead of even trying to fucking improve it. And that's happened with many people I knew in the past. It's happened with me personally and specifically. And it's something that I learned that, you know, when there's a problem with specific people and you should fucking go out and fucking do it and not in this kind of way. That's the thing I think about when I read this, is that it seems like a very specific reason why he doesn't like us or other people in this community or whatever. But that specifically makes me think like he had a problem and he did not want to address it or talk to people about that.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing, right? If the first time we hear that you have all these huge issues is a public twit longer where you're saying that you're leaving and you're rage quitting Twitter, you're basically committing account suicide and leaving a suicide note, blaming us for you doing that.
What the
How
heck?
are we supposed to respond?
Whoa. Wait a minute.
Oh my god. And they wonder why they're not popular anymore.
Worst analogy ever.
Doing account suicide. That's the analogy that you're going to use to talk about this guy. He's telling you, and you're just completely, again, go to what Ghosty was saying. This is just an attack piece at this point.
Yeah.
It's just an attack piece, and now you've gone so far as to say that the guy's committing account suicide because of just something that you guys have done or said that he's not comfortable with, and that he's just leaving, and that because the fact that, oh well, hey, the guy's gone now, so we can't really respond to him personally on his Twitter. Well, that's your problem. Okay, that's your problem that you can't respond to him because you're the ones that caused him to leave. All right, and the fact that you're making this this analogy of account suicide is not going to be beneficial to you, because that's not something that you should ever use as an analogy for talking about somebody leaving Twitter. Okay, it's not like the guy was happy. Depending on how many followers it had, it didn't matter. This doper guy was not happy being on Twitter because of the things that you were doing, and he was deciding to leave because of that, and it's not account suicide. It's just the simple fact I am leaving a social media website, and I am going to be focusing on my life and making myself better. You know, going outside and seeing the birds and the sun and the squirrels coming up on the tree. You know, maybe that's more important than hearing people talk about DarkSydePhil for the rest of their show.
Life is too short to be wasted on listening about DSP.
Yeah. You know, watching squirrels climb a tree is more beneficial to your life than listening to a group of guys bashing DSP.
Yeah.
How, like, did you try to reach out to anybody to solve anything? No, you didn't. The first, if you were actually, let me say this too, if you were actually interested in solving a problem that you had and not just keeping it until you blew up, then we would have heard something and we would have tried to work it out. So somebody that was on Twitter that was saying some shit that I disagreed with, I reached out to that person and I talked to them in private, right? I didn't go back and forth with them on Twitter.
Really? You reached out to them in private? Wow. That's a good premonition for volume 2. Because it involves a lot of screenshot DMs. So his statement did not age well.
Okay.
So okay, let's continue with this. Because you'd end up remembering a lot of the things that he said, and then would be showing a lot of the screenings on volume 2.
I've done this before. I've talked to several people and we've worked things out. We've had terrible fucking drama with people and talked with them and worked it out time and time again. I don't understand why this person felt as though, you know, can you say afraid or whatever? Like, what can you possibly say? I can't say that this person's afraid, because then this person did a fucking twitlonger and threw us under the bus for 4 fucking paragraphs. So how can you say that this person is avoiding confrontation or afraid or shy or whatever when they do a twitlonger like this and throw everybody under the bus? So again, I'd like to remind people, we're on 4 paragraphs about us in a twitlonger about why this guy's leaving Twitter. Okay? Just again, keeping people up to date.
I would like to think, and this is going back to that first video that we watched, I bet you their version of working this out with Doper would have him coming on to their show and be like, why'd you write that 4-paragraph stuff on us? And it's like, well, and then just like doing that whole police interrogation thing, just trying to get on Doper. And then when Doper tries to explain, he's like, that's not good enough. Why did you do it? Why did you do it? That would have been the working out, if we want to talk about it in quotes.
Mm-hmm. It's like good cop, bad cop. Mm.
Not even. It's like 2 bad cops.
Yeah. Oh.
So he says, I realize that these rants might make it look like I hate the people of the SOK, but I don't. Not really. I'm just incredibly tired of all their hypocritical BS and drama that's been hanging around them in their community. Like what? Have you provided any examples? I don't see any examples.
Yes.
I don't see any examples. I want to wish them the best in their charity efforts. Yeah. Well, you drop a twitlonger like this the day before we launch our charity. Thank you. That really makes things great. You drop a twitlonger unprovoked. I looked at his Twitter. I looked at things that were going on. Nothing happened. Nothing spurred this on. I'm sorry to say. Nothing spurred this on. Nobody talked with him. He talked with the same group of people that he's been talking with on their own little island and shit, not being bothered by anybody. Nobody bothers anybody. Literally. And this guy has a blow up out of nowhere. And this is what we end up with. A giant twitlonger about us the day before we drop our charity. And this guy mentions, oh, good luck with your charity. So he knows we're doing the charity. But I'm not going to say definitively, oh, yeah, he did this to fuck with the charity. I'm not going to say that, but what I'm just going to say is, oh, okay, you did this out of nowhere the day before we started the charity. That's the only event that's significant. What else happened? None of us reached out to him before this. Literally nothing spurred this on. This is completely random, completely out of nowhere, completely
Pause it.
Unprovoked.
It's not random. It's not out of nowhere. Doper was holding it in for a long time and then couldn't take it anymore. Just because someone is not going to outright blankly tell you exactly what's on their mind when they're around you or around your content, they're going to hold it in for a long time. And then eventually when they get to a breaking point, they're going to acknowledge why they're doing this stuff. So the fact that you never heard from this before is irrelevant. If Jing, for example, had been frustrated with me about something and then I had no idea, it's not Jing's fault that she didn't tell me. It's my fault for not even acknowledging it. And then Jing, when she would finally say something, I would have to take that accountability for not A, seeing it, B, harming her in a way that I probably shouldn't have, and then it would be up to me to apologize for it. See, that would be the proper thing to do. But instead, what this situation would have been Jing would have said something, I would have lashed out at her because why didn't you tell me this beforehand? And then that would just make me look even worse. So, I mean, just think about that scenario for a second. I mean, what would you rather do? Be accountable and then apologize to Jing and make sure that she was, that you acknowledge exactly the type of pain she was going through? Or do you want to be that person that just lashes out at her because, she just all of a sudden just came out with this and said, I'm quitting because of that? For me personally, I would be the former. But these guys can't see that with Doper.
No, they don't.
Nobody did anything to him. And what is it? It's on Wednesday he decided that he doesn't like the show anymore? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Built up thoughts, built up shit, never talked with anybody, never heard anything about this.
Yes.
So yeah, from my eyes, it just feels like bottled up feelings and emotions, and just release them all at once.
And deleted his Twitter.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't like the show.
Yeah. That's on Hitbox and YouTube.
That's on Hitbox.
Twitter.
I actually tweeted out something pretty sarcastic. I just thought, it was sarcastic, yeah, but I think it's an actual parallel to this. I said, I decided I don't like the podcast anymore by Twitter. People got all mad about that. That's fine. You know what I mean? Was that wrong to spur the guy? Maybe, but I'm a human being. I like this. I like to be able to respond to people and to fucking express myself. But all right. So anyways, all this is to say that
if you need to express yourself, there's this thing called therapy that you can use. I mean, a lot of times it's unhealthy to express yourself when there's not a professional involved. As somebody that has gone through therapy, I could say, being open to them in a private session is a lot better than voicing your stuff in public, because that ultimately is going to be toxic for you personally, just how the way it affects your head. And we saw what happened 5 years later. Fred is completely irrelevant.
Yeah.
He wishes us the best in his charity efforts. He feels honored to have been able to help out with what small amount of money that he could give, and he hopes that the new one will succeed as well. Well, the new one will succeed very well if we're not having to deal with somebody dropping a 4-paragraph slam on us and about how much the show sucks and about how people are stupid and obsessed with Phil and stuff like that. That usually helps with the community feeling good and feeling charitable. Usually when the community is not slammed by somebody who's on the way out.
Did we know how well these charities did afterwards?
That's the part that I don't get to find much about this charity water event that they planned. Some folks at ED said that it might just be a way to derail the momentum of DSP's Patreon. Like, oh, you have a Patreon. Okay, we have a charity water event. We have our own charitable event to derail that fundraising
Wow.
thing that they have. Yeah. It's like,
Just because you run a charity does not make you a good person.
it's their attempt at making themselves look like the better people because
Yeah.
yeah, it's a given that DSP will never be charitable in his life, but not because you have your own charity event, it would make you look better than DSP. And of course, they refuse to acknowledge that. And at this point, they are in denial that they are obsessed with DSP.
Yeah. And you know the difference between us is we're going to talk about this 2 times, and then we will never talk about it again afterwards. We will move on with our lives.
Yeah. I mean, so be it if a volume 2 would reach or would exceed 3 hours. At least we got it out of our system.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Out. Literally, somebody who is upset with the community and does a twit longer and stomps their feet on the way out. And we never talked to him. This is the first that we've heard that he had a problem. Again, I point out to you guys, July 9th, he just messages me, and I'm not going to release the message. It's up to him if he wants to dispute it or whatever, but literally sends me a DM on July 9th and says, hey, I'm not interested in the Phil stuff anymore, so I'm going to be unfollowing you guys, but I'm not upset with any of you guys. I'm not angry. I'm just moving on from the Phil stuff. No hard feelings. Wish you the best. I said, all right, thank you for the heads up. I wish you the best. That is the extent of it. So he has a line of communication. He has communicated with us before. I thought we were on good terms. I thought we were friends. You know, he's done all this kind of stuff. So what is it that this has to happen? He then just goes on to thank people. I mean, all that's not important. He thanks people. He thanks a few people. He says, but the thing is, he says at the end, who knows, maybe in a few months I'll reconsider, come back with a new Twitter account and try this over again. We'll see. Now, here's the thing. All right, let's close that out. If he's going to come back with a Twitter, but nothing actually changed, then what is this for? If he comes back, so what I'm assuming is that everything is going to have to be renewed whole cloth for him to come to honor us with his presence. Is that what I'm to understand? Like, what conditions need to be met for him to come back? What is it that we have to do? But okay, that's fine. Let's address this and let's get this done with, because we've been doing this for a long time. But again, I feel like, you know, this deserves an actual dialogue about it. And if there's people that aren't happy with the dialogue, I'm sorry. We gave you guys the heads up to come back. But, you know, here's the thing. I'll say this again. This was low class. And if you disagree with me, that's fine. This is my opinion. I thought that we are just giving opinions here. I thought that whole twit longer where he says the show is boring and that we're obsessed with Phil, and he literally lies about how much of the show, the content of the show. I thought that we're just giving our opinion, so I'm going to give mine. This was a low-class move. This was an absolutely low-class move. This was out of nowhere. This was unprovoked. This was completely a low blow. And for no reason. And this guy is literally blaming us when we don't even talk with him. This guy's blaming us for the reason why he left Twitter. Essentially, what I think is this is like a leverage move. You should be angry at the SOK the way that I am, and I'm offering you my account suicide as a reason. I'm showing you damages. This is something that we all as a community have lost, my participation, and therefore you should be mad because I'm pulling the only card that I have. That's the way that I see it. who else does this? Who else fucking leaves Twitter and writes a 10-page article, 4 of which are literally, it's the SOK's fault because their show sucks?
Like I think I said, people have made twit-longers about similar kind of stuff of, oh, I'm leaving and shit. So this is nothing new, but yeah, I agree with you in the fact that it was like it first and second paragraph maybe actually talked about why he wanted to leave Twitter, which is fine, whatever. But then it focused into something that, in my eyes, was random and off topic in terms of why would you leave Twitter? Because it's not leaving Twitter anymore. It's talking about us, which he feels he is a part of. Like, I don't get it.
And here's the thing, like, this isn't the first person who's ever done something like this. Like, you know, say that they're leaving Twitter and then, you know,
If this is not the first person to do it, then why are you singling this guy out? Why aren't you talking about every single person that has said this about you, if this is so pretentious to you?
Well, to be fair, this is the second time they did this on their podcast. It just so happened that the first time they did it to another member of Sons of Kojima, it got mixed reviews. It's like there are a lot of people. You remember I mentioned a while ago earlier in this episode about King of Divas vlogs and how he's one of the most hated members of Sons of Kojima.
Yeah.
And they had this episode dedicated to King of Divas vlogs about saying about to summarize what they said in the documentary. Yeah, he sucks because he tried to take us down. Like blah 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 blah. And yeah, that's what caused them to do that podcast episode. On the other hand, you have Doper. He did not try to take down Sons of Kojima. He just said, "Yeah, I'm leaving. I want none of this stuff anymore because it's going nowhere." And they did this episode, and of course, they got flack for it because, come on, he just deleted his Twitter account because he got sick of the toxicity, and then you create or you allot an episode or a podcast episode for this guy, and then all of a sudden you're starting to compare what Doper did with what King of Divas vlogs did. Like, see, even Ghosty saying, "I thought this was the first they've heard of this." No, this is not the first that they've heard of this. King of Divas vlogs may be the first to do this critique against Sons of Kojima, definitely not the last, and maybe Doper saw and the others that followed after Doper saw the things that what King of Divas vlogs did wrong, and they tried to avoid that route, and now they're just trying to focus on, you know what, you're just too preoccupied on DSP that even if it's becoming a futile effort, you're still doing it. So okay, let's just go back.
you know, talk shit on the way out. People do that a lot, but of course, you know, we're not allowed to give our opinion on it, which I think is fucking garbage.
Here's the thing too. Who is supposed to be inconvenienced by him leaving Twitter? If he has actual friends in the community, he's going to be talking to them on Skype or Steam or Discord or whatever the fuck. I'm pretty sure that he's just not disappearing off the internet. I also saw people referencing the fact that they have been talking with him like recently, as in like after this happened. So what exactly can you show? Like, this is just a way to demonstrate damages. This is, the SOK has wronged me to the point where I have to delete my Twitter account, and you should be upset too. Look at the harm that has been done to me. I don't have my Twitter account anymore. You know, it just.
So now they're accusing Doper of telling other people to delete their Twitter as well. He mentioned none of that. He just said that he's
Yeah.
doing this for himself. So they're starting to put words into Doper's mouth at this point that there's a reason why some people preserved Doper's tweet longer post because he expected some people to misconstrue the words that he wrote there.
It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. You left Twitter because you don't like the show. Okay, that's fine. What impact do we have on your life? You talk about what impact does Phil have on our life and that we're all so upset and we do all these podcasts. Well, then you were allowed to become upset with our podcast and deleted your Twitter. Rage quit Twitter because of us. It just doesn't make any sense. So I hope that people are at least understanding of the fact that we literally went point by point. I understand that people are trying to let me address some common things I'm saying. People are saying the SOK is attacking this guy. We never attacked this guy. We did some sarcastic tweets about the situation. I made some serious tweets about how I think it was a low-class move and it was unprovoked and it was unfair. I didn't have the chance. We were working on the shirts literally all night. We had to, like, we were doing Tuesday and Wednesday, and literally the stream was late today because I had to finish it up. We've been working on these shirts for the past 2-3 days. So I didn't get the chance to do a huge twit longer, and I don't even think a twit longer would have worked. I think this was the best way to do it, to have a conversation and to go point by point and address these things and show that, yeah, if this is criticism, then we have read it, thought about it, and have responded to it. And that's our take on it. I know that there's people in the community that are like, oh, he fucking got him. He's the hero standing up for what's right and shit like that. So what is it that you're saying? You agree that the show isn't good? Okay, well, we're sorry that you don't like our show. I'm surprised that anybody likes our show. You know what I mean? I am. I'm actually very surprised that anybody finds the show enjoyable other than us and our small circle of friends. You know? So yeah, if somebody doesn't like the show, of course I'm not going to be offended by that, dude. I'm surprised that people tune in at all, and I've always expressed that, and I've always been surprised, overwhelmed, and completely taken off guard by the fact that people watch this. So yeah.
If you're surprised by people liking your show, then why in the hell did you continue making the DarkSydePhil videos? You knew that there was an audience that was growing and you continued with that content. Do not bullshit us. We know that this is the reason why you got popular in the first place. You did DarkSydePhil videos, you saw how people were reacting to them, and you continued to do them because of it. You should not be surprised by the amount of fans that you got because of it. And now it's surprising to you that people are now saying that your show is not as good as it used to be. Well then. Don't lie to yourself.
If people don't like the show, oh well. Like, that's completely fine. I don't have any personal problems with this guy, and I don't dislike this guy. My interactions with him have been positive. It's just that he does this out of nowhere, and I think it's very unfair, and I think that he's misinformed, and I think that he said some things that were factually wrong that we can prove with evidence. And he made a lot of lofty claims and hasn't proved any of them, never gave examples. And I think the big thing he said is that he has personal issues with some of the members, and that's why that ended up being more of an attack piece.
But we don't know who those people are, who these other friends are, how people provoked him and nothing. He was just very like, oh, and I have these huge fucking problems with people because we didn't like their friends or said shit to their friends or whatever. But we never heard about this. And I know a lot of people have been talking about this, like, oh, he can leave Twitter if he wants, so he should leave in peace and all this shit. It's like, okay, sure, that's not the point that we care about. He can leave Twitter whenever the fuck he wants. I don't give a shit. I really fucking don't care about that aspect. The aspect that we just fucking proved or that I thought we proved for the past hour, the point that we talked about at length was the part that he was talking about us. Something that has nothing to do with Twitter, nothing has to do with him leaving Twitter. It's him leaving. It's like for somehow us translates to his Twitter experience for whatever reason. I think that the later part of the section, after like the first 2 or 3 paragraphs, I think, it completely jumps off Twitter and he just says what he feels about us, because apparently his Twitter, which I didn't follow, was following just DSP people, which is like, okay. But like I said, that middle portion is pretty much all about us without talking about why that affects his Twitter experience, and never says exactly why he feels. He told why he feels that, but he never told us why he feels that our show impedes on his Twitter experience or anything like that. It just feels like he's tired of us.
Right.
Yeah, so he wants to completely get away. Okay, but I don't see what that has to do with leaving Twitter, and that's the point that I wanted, that I thought was funny, which is why I originally fucking made a jab or a fucking thing about it, because I felt it was just nothing like, oh, I'm done with the DSP community things. That's pretty much what this is. It's another one of those twitlongers that focus on, I'm leaving the community, here's why, blah, 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 and it involved us. So I feel it's totally justifiable for us to talk about it, since we're in the DSP, anti-DSP thing. Almost pretty much all of this is about that. And it mentions us. It checked us. It says SOK 6 times in just a simple, what should have been a tweet or twit longer, saying I left Twitter because of this or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
So that's basically, go ahead, sorry.
I was gonna say, I really don't understand this whole thing where apparently it's super wrong for us to stick up for ourselves, or at least address something that is obviously talking about us. I think it's just ridiculous. If someone's gonna say stuff about us that we don't agree with and we want to say something back, we should be allowed to do that.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you look bad, though.
So that's us responding to that, taking the time. I don't know if we're gonna make that a separate video or not, and just put that on the channel. I don't know. Maybe we'll make that a separate video. But we wanted to give that an opportunity, and we wanted to address it. And here's the thing. This is what I don't get, and this is the last thing that I'll say. So if Phil's stuff is still penetrating his Twitter feed, despite the fact that he unfollowed a bunch of us, that means that he made exceptions for his personal friends, and somehow the shit is still bleeding into his Twitter account. That's on him, though, and that's on him to discuss with his friends. If he unfollowed all of us to the point where we're not responsible anymore, but yet people that he made exceptions for that are still in the community are...
Your influence is still affecting his friends. That's why he's getting rid of his Twitter, because even it got to the point where his personal friends were still influenced by you. And the fact that you can't see that is not surprising.
Still making this so that it's penetrating his Twitter account, that he needs to address that with them and not get upset with us, because he's made certain allowances to let things into his Twitter feed, right? And he's upset with us because of that, because of choices that he made. So that's it. That's it. Do I think that he made some valid points? Yes, I do. I think he made some valid points about the fact that there may or may I'm sure there are. I'm sure there are people out there that are really fucking I hate Phil or whatever the fuck else. I want a mission or whatever. Yeah, and we agree. We agree that you shouldn't fucking be obsessed or whatever the fuck else. That's fine. And there are other points that he made that we agree with. But this fucking, whole thing about, fucking, I don't like you guys, so I'm going to leave my fucking Twitter and shit like that. It's ridiculous. It really is. So, all right. Any last thoughts on that before we move on and start the show?
One thing that I will say is...
Start the show!
I know you've...
Yeah. This is their pre-podcast show.
Oh my god, are you serious? Oh my... I'm sorry, I'm getting a headache from this.
Now I understand why a lot of the podcast episodes took forever, because it takes them forever to shut up. Like, god damn it. This is why people don't listen to your shows that much. I think this basically confirms 75% of the program is about Phil. Then next thing you realize that, you know how some podcasts start like, yeah, before we get started here, we'd like to talk about this. Next thing you realize they're talking about it for an hour. Like, oh god, no. Oh shit. I know, Joe. It makes my head hurt too.
A 1 hour pre-show. What's the point of even listening to the regular show? If you're just if people already have access to like what you're going to be talking about before you go live on your regular show.
Last time I checked, I was taught that if you're going to have a preview to the show, at least make it 15 minutes.
Or less.
Yeah, less than that. Because if you've been exposed to a lot of podcasts, yeah, because they have this main topic and then they have this these previews, or it's like the warm-ups, Some podcasts don't even have one. They go straight ahead to this topic.
Exactly.
And it's funny. And then you have this podcast, well, more like live streamed on, yeah, because I checked the Sons of Kojima YouTube channel. It's still up there. And this is that one episode that was deleted because everyone agreed with Dope. Almost everyone agreed with Doper. And these guys, I could, Tyler and Moggs, they're basically just agreeing for the sake of agreeing with Fred Fuchs. Because, yeah, we were laughing at the beginning of this, like, yeah. Yeah, they sound so disinterested in this topic.
And then they got heated at the end of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, Fred Fuchs is good at
riling people up.
Yeah, riling people up. Yeah, basically. So, yeah, we have to end this volume one on this note, because it's like we started this show with a clip with Fred Fuchs, and then we also ended up with Fred Fuchs, because it's about time that we acknowledge as early as now, before we end volume one, that, yeah, pretty much Sons of Kojima is Fred Fuchs, and everyone is just trying to change it, at least from within, and ended up not doing it. Almost similar to how Linkara and the other members of Channel Awesome tried to change Channel Awesome from within and failed, because they have this one control freak at the top.
Mm-hmm.
So, hopefully, yeah, I really love it that a lot of people stayed here. And, like, thank you very much to everyone that stayed here with us until the end, because definitely a lot of the topics that will be discussed in Volume 2 would definitely reflect on the clips that were played on Volume 1. Um, of course, it created a lot of controversy at that time. And also by Volume 2, the files that we would be looking are the ones that got compiled on the Kiwi farms. So I will not spoil much on the contents of the Kiwi farms. If you were familiar with some of those at the Kiwi farms, you know our system. We read the screenies, we read almost everything. It may have caused the episode to go longer than it should have, but we make sure that we don't leave any stone unturned because you know what normally happens. You try to cover everything, somebody still complains. It did not cover this. Like, yeah, we did what we can to be fair, you know. We try to be fair. Maybe sometimes we try to nitpick, but we do what we can to cover everything. And I will not apply that exception here on Sons of Kojima because you will then understand why this is one of the most requested episodes on Legends of the Internet, and I decided to apply my own spin here on Untold Legends. And seems like we're going off in a bang before the end of season 2 of Untold Legends. I thank you everyone for staying here at the end. Thank you, Madame Gosi, for your inputs. Thank you very much, Joe, for your inputs and your experience really helped in providing insights on how things should be handled here.
You're welcome.
Yes. And as for my final thoughts, I will leave them on Volume 2. So, thank you very much, everyone. See you on Volume 2 of Season 2, Episode 12, season finale of Legends of the Internet. It's already midnight here where I am. Thank you very much. And I'll be seeing you, everyone, on Volume 2. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.
Bye.